Welcome everybody into the final edition of the Fireside podcast. Not final in totality, but at least for ECL. I'm Righteous, your host, and joining with me is Clown. You got a nice sandwich of clown
Bad.
appearances, the very first and the very last. So he is
Exactly.
back. He's got some exciting news to share with us. So let me give you a little bit of a rundown. So he's going to share his news. We missed semifinals, so we're gonna do that. We'll talk about finals and then a little bit about the All Star event ECL will be putting on, and that'll be it. I'm aiming for an hour, max an hour and a half. So
we'll see. We'll see.
We are going to. I'm gonna hold myself to that. We're gonna go. We're gonna go fast and furious.
All right, man. We'll speed run this thing.
All
But
right,
before to get that started,
yeah.
let me talk to y'all. ECL, I have some very big news coming out of a partnership between 4G Sports and Amber Esports. I'm proud to announce that we will be hosting Roll Rivals. This is something the community's been talking about a little bit. I know a certain top laner from a championship winning team will be very happy to hear this news. But what is Roll Rivals? If any of you know the LCK and you saw what happened at the start of this year, they had a tournament where they had each player from each role type all be on a team. So you have a team of top laners, you got a team of junglers, team millers, so on and so forth. We're doing that. The plan is for Monday, August the 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll be running Roll Rivals with the teams consisting of the MVPs from the split. So the first team All-Stars, the second team All-Stars, the third team All-Stars, and a selection from a draft pool of players. And how are we going to figure that out, you may ask? Well, in the description box for this video, we'll be putting a link, and we'll probably also put it somewhere in the ECL chat too, for you guys to sign up. If you competed in ECL this past split, if you're either a main roster player or you played in at least 3 match series over the course of the season, which I think should be basically anyone who is really consistently on a team in ECL, you can sign up and you can register in that form, and your name will go into the pool of players that can be drafted. We're going to try and do a draft show as well on Saturday, August 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern, live on the 4G Sports channel. We'll try and get all our captains in there, which are going to be the team each of the individual role MVPs. We'll get them in. We'll have a little bit of bants. We'll draft some players. We'll talk about the teams, and we'll figure out where it's going to go from there. But yeah, just be some best of one fun, running a little tournament bracket to see which role reigns supreme. I got my eye on those top laners, man. They've been out there getting some synergy up in some era mayhem. I think in the middle of the season, I haven't seen any of the other roles really get together like that. So them top laners, y'all might want to show up and show out, see if y'all can really be the best role with that built up synergy. But again, ECL Role Rivals, Ember, and 4G Sports bringing it together. That is the 17th of August. That's a Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, the normal Ember time. And we're doing the draft show on Saturday, August 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern. So fill out that form if you want to be in there. If you're a first team, second team, third team All-Star, y'all still got to fill out that form. So get your names in there. We'll be reaching out, trying to coordinate. But I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So be there. That's it. Scene.
Yeah, that's it. Supports, please show up. We know you're gonna lose, but I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Whoa! All right. Supports, really, you gotta show up now. You gotta prove Righteous wrong.
No, it'll be fun. Definitely. We'll be excited to watch and/or be a part of that. We'll see. But so there's Clown's announcement. We're gonna do semifinals now, starting with a very short series between Feed the Dream and GCC Belmonts all the way back 2 weeks ago. Let me pull these up.
Bro,
So
we gotta get the GoFundMe for Ballistic, man. Like that just feels so bad to have the PC hit you multiple series in a row. I feel bad for him because I'm sure like
I just clicked through like all my graphics. So
yeah, so
it is what it is.
I mean, it starts off feeling bad, and I think this can't do too well for Feed the Dream, right? You have a pretty good roster in there, right? You have Downfall playing top, which is solid. I know a player obviously that can play both AD carry and top lane relatively well, from at least what I know. Ballistic been a solid ADC for Feed the Dream throughout the season, and then loading in and then having one of your players not load in is just that cannot bode well for the series, for the mental, all that stuff. So yeah, a rough start for Feed the Dream, and that getting off
Yeah,
with the basic loss from not being able to connect.
yeah, it's interesting too. Obviously the game didn't get to play out. I
Yeah,
don't. I mean, it counted, right? So
yeah,
it counted, and the reason why I want to bring that up is because the um the champs from that
yeah.
game were taken away because of Fearless, right?
Oh yeah.
And
Mm.
so I have the draft screen pulled up.
Yep.
It was Feed the Dream's second pick on blue side, Jarvan's
Okay.
first pick from GCC, Wukong Zaya in the
Okay.
response, and then
Yep.
Belmont's picked Ash Seraphine, and then Milio was the counter. And then Feed the Dream's first three matched up actually pretty well into GCC, what they were showing.
Yep.
Um, and the reason I wanted to make note of that, obviously we could play the what if game all we want. But just from those first three picks, I was actually favoring FTD through that portion of pick spans. And
Yep.
then the solo lanes came out for both of these teams, and I continue to favor Feed the Dream in that draft.
Yeah. Eh,
Um,
We
it's
got to remember this is 16-14 Mordekaiser too. So that was
yeah.
Mordekaiser with that insane
Mm-hmm.
buff on Death Realm. So it's pretty crazy that they're able to. I mean, maybe they just didn't have the info that Downfall can play it, but also it's Mordekaiser, and it
Yeah.
can't imagine
I
it's
mean,
too terrible to pull that out. He's
it
pretty, and especially
was
on that patch, he's pretty darn strong.
it was a great pick to get fifth pick,
Yep.
especially into something like the Shen. Um, if he was able to get ahead, I mean, again, the what
Yeah.
if game is what it is.
Mhm.
But you know, going from potentially up 1-0 to now down 0-1 just because of that connection issue, which again,
Yeah.
from the sources, my many sources have told me that GCC was pretty amicable and actually try to help FTD out in the situation because they had a
Yeah.
little bit of a brush in the regular season,
Yep.
but it just didn't work out for them. They go down 0-1, and one of the members of the FTT team said like it's pretty it's pretty apparent that like when that happens, some people lose focus.
Yeah.
Which I mean is like it can't be helped, right? Like if you're just gonna sit there in a
Yeah.
pause, you don't know what's gonna happen, you end up going down 0-1, now your
Mhm.
motivation's kind of drained. So that
Yeah.
kind of just set up the rest of the series, in my opinion.
Think
Um,
so.
so FTD continues their strategy with second pick on blue side. GCC opens up with a Mel pick. FTD responds Sivir Morgana. Braum picked a Morgana, kind of a crazy choice
Yep.
from my vantage point.
I
Amumu
agree.
picked up by GCC. And then Trundle, the response by FTD. Once again, um, FTT solo lanes are going to be coming in the second phase.
Mhm.
They open up with Ornn. GCC gets a counter in Rumble, which is a favorite of T-Die and really good Ornn matchup. Lucian is the last pick for GCC, maintaining that flex all the way through draft. You love to see it. And then Victor comes out for FTD. Now, while I liked FTD's draft in game one, game two was a little weird only because the champions I feel like don't synergize incredibly well. By that I mean like Sivir is a champion, and anybody who's ever played AD carry knows that Sivir really excels into teams that want to play into you, right? Like hard
Yep.
engage or a lot of front to back or whatever. Um, and then she kind of fills this role of like buffing up, so to speak, your engage, which FTD didn't really have a ton of. Um,
Yeah.
they had a lot of zone control with like the Trundle, the Ornn, and the Victor, but the Sivir, I looking at this draft, I mean the lane is one thing. It was going to be a hard lane. the spell shield's nice. Double spell shield into Braum Lucian is really good actually, but the later this game went, I just felt like the Sivir wasn't going to be able to function very well. You have Mel Poke, you have Rumble long range ulti, you have a Mumu engage, trying to hit through Braum with the shield up. Um, doesn't really get to buff up any of these champions other than Trundle with that ultimate. And Trundle's not going to have a very fun time into Braum, a Mumu, a Mobile Lucian, maybe he
Yeah.
can get on the rail, the Rumble or whatever,
Yeah.
but FTG's draft didn't match up very well into GCC, and then also simultaneously didn't really synergize very well. Where they kind of just had to sit there and wait for something to happen. And if you're going to
Yeah.
sit there and wait for something to happen into GCC will win.
Yep. Yeah, I think they really needed to have probably looking at the jungle because I get when was the Trundle picked? Did we see both the Not and the Mumu on
Just
Trundle pick or
we saw the Braum
yeah,
Amumu. Yeah.
Brahma Mumu? Okay. I mean, I can see why you might want to trundle there, but I feel like especially with the comp, and maybe it's just they hadn't decided exactly the direction they're going. I feel like you probably want to throw your snap engage on the jungle. If you're like, hey, we see like Brahma Moon, that's a ton of CC. Well, we're gonna think Morgana because we want the spell shields, block
Mm-hmm.
some of the CC out, and you get that snap engage in jungle. I can't think off the top of my head something that would work there, but I'm sure there's options. But having some snap engage in there to just be able to go, hey, we can force this fight instantly rather than having to wait for a Ornn R that is probably going to be Mel ulted and or relatively easily counter engaged. I think certainly would have helped their comp because I think, like you said, you get the Sivir to buff up, you get that snap engage going. Ornn can follow up with the Horn, also hit the front line, and then you have Victor hitting from range. You have Sivir that should just be hitting, front. Boomerangs everywhere, and then Morgana to back up as well, stun some folks up, especially on the engage. So I see there's definitely some lines, but yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot more cohesion in terms of what GCC wants to do. You have
Mm-hmm.
some poke options. You can just drop the equalizer, poke out um, with the Mel as well. Get some poke in from those AP champs in top mid. And then you have some engage options, of course, with the Amumu or the counter engage if they try to send it on you with the Braum. Or even,
Mm-hmm.
if you get a full Amumu alt and Braum can just freaking walk up and press R, not a terrible option
Yep.
either. But I think GCC, I definitely see a lot more of a line for them to play this game out relatively well. And play it out relatively well they did with
Mm-hmm.
Beru, Mr. Buckbeak going pretty crazy on the mid lane, 10-0 and 4 on Mel.
Well, yeah, and I mean, going back to the actual like
Yeah.
comp matchups, right? Realistically, who's ever really gonna threaten this Mel, right? It's got to
Yep.
be, I guess, Trundle from a flank, right? Or like Mel stepping up out of position and then a Trundle pillar
Yep.
into death. But I mean, if Baru has access to Flash, if he has the Zonias available, like, I mean, this Mel's going to be sitting pretty at 10-0-4. I mean, obviously, that's ended up being the case. And then, like I said, with Downfall on the Sivir, I mean, he got to 4 items, but didn't really get to do much in the game, right? Because
Yep.
he's not able to step up into the poke from Beru, from the burst from T-Dye Tycon, from the ultimate from Wolven. And he's not able to really buff anybody up on his team, and the other team doesn't have to play into him, right? And so you're trying to play Sivir while navigating these really tough positions. It didn't seem like it was going to work out. And this game did go 37 minutes, and FTD did keep it within 7,000 gold at the end, but it just came down to, look guys, like, if we're just gonna sit here and scale into GCC, we're playing GCC's game, right? A lot of the times, if you're going up against a perceived stronger opponent, or an opponent that has a very concrete style, your best bet is to try to find something to throw a wrench into that plan, right? Because GCC has shown, okay, the later the game goes and the more opportunities they're given to 5v5, they're just better than anybody in the league at doing that. And so that's
Yep.
exactly what ended up happening. um
For sure.
so now FTD's down 0-2 at this point. They pick Blue Sad first pick, I guess. They open up with Caitlyn, which is a fine pick. GCC responds with Varus Karma. Leona Zac comes through for FTD. Kind
Yep.
of doubling down on this engage, which into Varus Karma is a really good look. Right, two
Yeah.
very immobile poke characters. Of course, Varus does have the access to the on hit, but it doesn't really affect his mobility. So I think that's a fine look from FTD. Malphite is the last pick on GCC side before the second phase of draft. Swain comes through, and now it's like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, all that engage. The Swain's looking mighty scary.
Here.
Cho'Gath picked up, which it's a fine pick actually
Hmm.
into Malphite. If that Malphite was top, I don't think anybody thought that Malphite was going to go top. So FTD is kind of just accepting that they kind of have to blind pick here. And then Vigar rounds out the comp. So now you have two going buttons with Leona Zac and pretty much no follow up, right? Yes,
Yeah.
if the CC hits, then Vigar Caitlyn can step up. Vigar can, you know, use the cage. Caitlyn can maybe look for some autos here and there. Um, but if you look at GCC's comp, like that's a very tough ask for IBSGP players to step up into the face of a Malphite, a Swain, and Irelia.
Yeah.
The team fight navigation was going to have to be excellent for FTD to come out on top. And then once again, I just feel like they're playing GCC's game, and GCC ends up taking the win.
Yeah, I mean, this one, at least looking from the scoreboard, and I think I was
Yeah.
able to see some clips of this game. This game was relatively close, 23-20 in terms of kill score for GCC.
Mm-hmm.
A good amount of turrets, relatively close, but actually, Soul Point ended up going over to the side of Feed the Dream. Both teams getting a Baron. But ended up being GCC win. I think one thing I definitely want to talk about here to start. Wolven opting to go for the poke Varus in
Mm-hmm.
this game, which I certainly see the merit in that. You have a Caitlyn, you have a Veigar that are there that can that can be poked down and take a ton of damage, but then you have to look what's around them. You look at Cho, you look at Zach, you look at Leona. It's pretty scary for Wolven to try and get in a position where he can play poke Varus effectively this game and be able to hit through to the back line. And on top of that, your only source of DPS, or at least I would say heavy DPS that's putting in the damage, is through T-Die. And that's also scary from a melee perspective because you have Leona with tons of CC, you have Cho'Gath, you have so much CC on the side of Feed the Dream that if T-Die is trying to hit onto their champions, there's a good chance he's going to get he's going to be CC'd to some degree, he's going to eat a lot of spells, and he's melee, so he can't really just outrange that stuff and be fine. So I'd imagine that's kind of why it may have gotten a little dicey in there, but they're able to end up executing and get the win. But what are your thoughts, right,
Yeah.
just as far as like
So
execution goes?
I reviewed this game quite a bit with Ti on a one-on-one session.
Okay.
Um, you were there for a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
remember now. I remember now.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
And this game was very sloppy from both sides. So,
Yep.
the game opens and T-Dye essentially just gets to freeze on Tame for free for what seemed like the entire laning phase. I think he was up like 40 CS up and like 2 kills at one point. And so the Aurelia was just giga fed while the bot lane was
Yep.
struggling. And it was important to note out that I really did like the Zac Leona picks into that bot lane of
Yep.
Varus Karma. And to Lily and FTD's credit, that's what they played through in the early game. And they were able to stack those dragons. Like you said, they actually did get soul.
Yeah.
It came down to mid to late game execution, specifically at like post 35 minutes. It was a bunch of late game mistakes from both sides. Um,
Yep.
so while the Swain is a great answer into the engage from FTD, if GCC got picked, which they did on occasion, it wasn't going to work. And if they opt into a straight 5v5 with T-Dye being your lead DPS, Wolven has to focus something other than the front line.
Yep.
And when we were watching this game in the 5v5s, Wolven's just raining out arrows into Lily and just doing no damage, right? And not really finding that backline
Yeah.
access. And so GCC faltered a lot in the 5v5, and didn't play around that split pushing win con, which was T-Die on this Irelia.
Yep.
Um, the FTD side got Baron late. No, sorry. They got Baron, the first Baron.
Okay.
Didn't really do much with it. Then the GCC side got Baron, and then they tried to force a fight. It was a pretty bad fight in mid, and that's how FTD ended up losing. But this game was sloppy from both sides. I mean, it was a
Yep.
43-minute game. The series, while it was only 3 games, it was pretty long with that pause. I feel like it felt long, and it definitely showed in
Yeah.
the gameplay for both these sides. Unfortunate for FTD to kind of end on a low note for their season, but it was a very successful season regardless. And
Yeah.
I think they showed a lot of potential and a lot of progress throughout the season. And then for
Yep.
GCC, it kind of lent to some question marks. Not that the fact that they lost 3-0 was horrible. Like obviously it's a
Yeah.
great result. But just after watching that game as in depth as I did, a lot of my hesitations about this team felt warranted in that they didn't really play proactively. They would just show up to team fights and basically like hope to be the better team.
Yeah.
Not necessarily hope. Hope's not the greatest of
Yeah.
words. They expected to be the better team, but then when there was some
Yep.
pushback or some faltering, they didn't really have any other avenues to play, so they just kept team fighting. Then eventually, they found their way through this
Yeah.
game 3. But it was a weird note to end on for GCC heading into finals. Um,
Definitely. Yeah. I think it was, it kind of lends the thing. I know you've talked about it at length, but I mean, I'll agree is like, uh, despite what some people may think about us making this comment, is GCC is the best team about not putting themselves in bad positions or not shooting themselves in the foot. Like there is
mhm.
a lot of teams who will just make plays, and it's just you just. I'm sure even they will look back after and be like, "Dude, what are we thinking? Like, what?" Um, but GCC does not do that a lot. That does not happen often to them, and oftentimes that's enough. And that when other teams also make those similar mistakes or mistakes that they don't make, but makes those shoot yourself in the foot mistakes, GCC is good at punishing them.
Mhm.
So they did a good job, and we saw they're not infallible. Like you said, the game 3 they made some mistakes there, but generally that strategy was able to get them some wins. They're able to pull ahead with some solid lane performance, and then go into the team fights and kind of just win from there. But yeah,
Yeah.
fortunately that was a 3-0. Unfortunately, we got those PC issues. I'm sure if they had the full proper roster, it probably would have been more of a banger series. But speaking of banger series, dude, let's
Mhm.
talk about KOK versus SG, man. A
Yeah.
5-game banger.
5 game banger. The second 5 game series for KOKG. They opened playoffs with another 5 game series, I
Mhm.
believe. Now that I'm saying it, I'm not entirely sure. I'm like 98% sure though. That they went the full five
Yes,
games.
yeah, it was 5 games versus PTL. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Uh-huh. And so I mean, if you're looking at recent experience, KOKG, I mean, they just came off a 5 game series, so
Yep.
they we're in a familiar spot, but in order to get to the 5th game, we got to go through game 1. It's KOKG second pick on blue side, which is always weird to me. I
For
assume
game
that.
1, they were red side game 1,
Uh,
right?
let me see.
Yeah, they say red side over here. Wait, why does it say the
Uh,
blue side then? What
no,
the
it's
hell?
whenever you're on the home, like whenever
Oh
you're
god dang it.
playing, it's always blue.
Freaking color shop.
Yeah, yeah.
Heck. Yeah.
So
Sorry, you're correct.
it's
Continue.
KOKG second pick on blue side.
Yep.
SG gets the Shyvana. B1.
Ooh. Yeah.
KOKG had banned the Silas away from uh Lewis, which
Oh,
Silas
yeah.
banned away. That's like Shiv's like number 1 counter,
As a
one of their
Shiv
main
enjoyer
counters.
myself.
Yeah.
Silas is just a better Shiv, and that's what you permaban. So as soon as that thing's unlocked, yeah, I know Jake is one of his big champions
Yeah.
is Shyvana. Bro, you see that Silas gone, you got B1, bro, lock the Shiv, run it.
Yeah, a little bit of a misstep from KOKG, just not recognizing that,
Yeah.
like, hey, once the Silas is off the board, like, Jake's gonna
Yep.
want to take this champion, right? So immediately
Mhm.
locked up B1. KOKG responds with Hui, which is okay. I like the poke, especially when Shyvana doesn't have access to ultimate, um,
Yep.
but is very susceptible to an unstoppable Shyvana, right? Especially one that can either farm well or find avenues to get ahead. Trundle, a favorite of Theracules, locked in. Now, Trundle's a really good pick, in my opinion, if you can get aggressive into the Shyvana. By that I mean a lot of early invades to keep the Shyvana from farming to level 6 or continuing to inhale gold to her like second and third item. Because realistically, no matter what Shyvana build you prefer as a Shyvana player, you really need 3 items to feel like a really good champ, right?
Yep.
Um, and so Shyvana is all about inhaling gold. Trundle can really just get 1 item and go, right? And if he's able to
Yep.
play aggressively into the Shyvana, I think it's a fine pick. Unfortunately for KUKG, didn't really see that proactivity. SG responds with Ash Seraphine, which um
I mean,
all I'm saying is if you have Helium Bamboo on your roster and you don't pick Seraphine in a spot where it's up and then give the Ash alongside it, that's another draft mistake, right? So KOKG
oh,
kind of just blundering draft through the first 5
yeah.
picks. Braum,
Like Seraphine Shyvana, man, that's
yeah,
also just an
and
insane team
Ash.
fight combo. You free and Ash, like you have it like I mean we're gonna go through the rest of the draft, but I think SG had a fantastic game one draft. We'll
Yeah,
keep going through it, but
for first 3
it's
was
so good.
great. You could play pick,
Yeah.
you could play team fight, a ton
Yep.
of options. Braum is a fine response when looking to block
Yeah.
the Seraphine ults, but it's gonna struggle in lane. Um, KOKG then locks in Olaf, which, hey, Olaf in this spot, really good, right? If the
Yep.
Olaf can come out of lane even or ahead and have any semblance of a threat towards this Asher Seraphine, I really like Olaf as a response to Ash Seraphine comps.
Yep.
Um, Malphite locked in as a response to Olaf, which if you're willing to play Malphite, I think Malphite's probably even utilized in pro play.
Mhm.
I know it's a favorite for IBSG players. I think it's a fine pick into Olaf. Continues this theme of team fight from SG. And then Aurora locked in for Lewis. Yone the response for KOKG. Now I watched a little bit of this game one, and SG really all they had to do was survive until ultimates came through. They group up, they team fight, they win. That's their game plan, right? KOKG
Yep.
had to be the aggressors early. They either had to find lane advantages or they had to find um like jungle advantages. By that I mean like lane pressure and then utilizing that to
Yep.
get pick up objectives or
Invade.
camps or
Yeah.
whatever it might be. Um because I think Hui into Ash Seraphine's fine. Like it's a good poke. You're gonna be out damaging the Ash on an earlier timer. So really KOKG operated on a pretty fast timer here. Even though they scale with Yone Hui, it's just if you look at the 5v5, right? Like what are they gonna do? You know?
It's so
Um
hard for them to play into this as 5. Like, even if Olaf presses R and runs it backline, like, you have so much upfront with Shyvana and Aurora being able to
yeah.
get damage in, the Seraphine buffing up. Like, there's a lot of front loaded of stuff
Malphite,
that can be very front loaded
yeah,
and not really worry too much about the Olaf to get a crap ton of damage out there and kind of just murder Olaf's backline. And Olaf goes, "Where'd my team go?
yeah.
Huh?"
Yeah, when I was playing in Rivals League, it was a different iteration.
Yeah.
We'd go Malphite jungle, but Malphite Aurora was a favorite of ours because
Yep.
literally, if you just ult anybody and Aurora over the top, they're pretty much dead 9 times out of
There's
10.
dead. One shot. Yeah.
Um, so I just said that they needed to get early game advantages, right? The game was over in 26 minutes and they lost, and a lot of that just was poor laning. Like SG
Yeah.
didn't do anything crazy. Solo just got clapped by Lewis on this Aurora. Mythic Chaos and Helium Bamboo struggled in the Ash Seraphine lane, which was handed over freely. Ratu had the best game of this KOKG squad in a losing matchup. Like Malphite is a great nullifier, and Ratsu is able to find a little bit of pressure here and there. But it was just every time that KOKG looked to get aggressive or make a move or find an avenue to carve out a lead, it was just immediately shut down either in lane or in team fights by SG, and it was over in 26 minutes even.
Dang.
It was a great performance from SG, and this game won. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's literally it. Like,
There's not too much to
it's
say
like
really. Like the
KOKG had
press
to get
R
ahead
comp,
early.
the press R comp didn't get punished, and then got to press their R buttons, and
Yeah.
then won the game. Then that's crazy.
Yep. Sometimes
So
it's as
let's go.
simple
Let's
as
go game
that.
two because this one went a little bit long. This one was
Yeah.
almost 43 minutes in.
So SG on blue side opens up the Wukong pick. They had first pick. KOKG responds with Caitlyn Zach. A lot of Zach presence in
Yeah,
IBSG. It's kind of funny.
yeah,
I mean, it's a fine pick. The problem with Zach is it's literally linear. Like you have to E
yep,
forward in a line, and it's pretty telegraphed unless you find pockets of vision. Right. That's my hang up with the champion. I think it's a fine pick. But Wukong, I don't know. Wukong with access
yeah,
to CC kind of makes it a little bit harder. But anyways,
yep.
SG continues Ziggs Poppy. Now Poppy, really great pick in a Zach. Um,
Mhm.
through first three, they do have flex potential, right? So Wukong could technically go top. Poppy could technically still go in three orals, right? Um, I'm kind of reading this as Wukong is probably going jungle, and then Poppy's either
Yep.
gonna go top or bot. Um, Sion locked in for KOKG as a blind pick for Ratsu. Lulu Caitlyn, weird lane. Just gonna be real, very weird lane. Um,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a whatever lane. Like it's not horrible, right? Like you're playing double ranged. If this Poppy is going bot, you should be favored. But the longer the game goes, the less like your ability to lane matters because Caitlyn really just wants setup around objectives and being able to control zones, which Lulu doesn't
Yep.
really offer. Now Lulu can buff up a Zac that goes in or a Scion, so there's still a little bit of synergy within the comp. I just think I mean, it's just kind of weird. Swain Mundo respondents
Oof.
from SG, and then Xerath, the fifth pick for KOKG, which, hey, I'm a big Xerath believer, especially in a pick like Swain, like Mundo,
Yeah.
where realistically, the more damage you can get out from range, the better. Before SG tries to pull the trigger again, right? Because they just played a press R comp. They're
Yep.
playing another one. They're gonna run at you with when their ultimates are available. And so if Xerath's able to poke effectively, could make that a little bit harder for SG. And the game went long. It went
Yeah.
long indeed. Muerte, really nice game on this Ziggs, 7, 5, and 14, leading the game in gold.
Yeah.
Um,
Get paid.
IDK Inc. Tough matchup. Not because I think Mundo's a bad pick. I think he's just a bad pick in top. I think he really I feel like Mundo jungle is where it's at.
Jungle. Jungle.
Um,
Oh yeah.
just because he has such good synergies with access to blue smite.
Yep.
You can go Swifties. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with Deadmans. It's pretty cool. Jake,
Yeah.
solid performance on the Wukong. Lewis, really good on the Swain, and then Panda. I mean, that's gonna be a hard land, right? We just talked about if
Yeah.
Mythic Chaos and Helium go Kaylin Lulu, like this Poppy's kind of feel the brunt of that, and they did. Um,
Yep.
Mythic Chaos goes 10-6-5 solo Russia. Like I said, I think this is a great spot for Xerath 8-4-9. It's just that when playing a press R comp, eventually press R comp is just easier to play, and that's kind of what we saw.
Yeah. I think also to like as we get later into the game, like even just looking at the items, right? I
Mm-hmm.
feel like there's just a lot of beef for that Caitlyn and that Xerath to chew through, and it
Mm-hmm.
might be a little challenging come the late game. To be fair, you can say the same thing right now. Ziggs, of course, going to Leandre's here. I think he's a great buy in this. Seeing Zach Sion into your
Mm-hmm.
comp, having that. Wukong obviously getting to apply armor shred across multiple, which I guess does a bit for mostly for himself, but a bit for the Mundo. But yeah, I mean, I think the scaling is like, decent on both sides. I guess I'm not thinking about it. Maybe I'm just kind of worried about damage on both sides, but it seems like SG probably just execute the team fight a little bit better and have a little bit more, maybe a little bit more
So
synergy in their team fight, even.
here's where I think things went wrong for KOKG. There's two things I want to
Okay.
point out. Number
Yeah.
one, you just talked about beef, right? Mundo,
Yeah.
Wukong, just
Yeah.
by being a bruiser is pretty
Hmm.
beefy. Swain, Poppy's going full, health, right?
Yeah.
I just feel like when I know they're going to be stacking health and resistances as Mythic Chaos, I can't go Collector. I just feel like it doesn't serve a purpose, right?
Yeah.
It's fine to try to
Hmm.
lane bully, but realistically, how much can you bully a Ziggs, right? They're just gonna wave
You
clear.
probably
It is what it
just
is.
hex optics, right? You just grab
Yeah,
hex optics insta,
which they
maybe go
did.
for an eye second or
Like they have
yeah,
Mega
they
Optic.
do grab hex optics eventually, but you can speed that up, right? You can
Yeah,
grab like get your LDR sooner, get that bonus, bonus to that giant slayer damage
yeah.
going,
And
all that
then
fun stuff.
just like my qualm with Collector,
Yeah.
what are we doing, man? What is this Cyclosword here
Oh
for?
yeah, dude.
Like
Yeah, I don't know about all that,
I
my
just
guy, because like realistically that's only for Ziggs, and I don't know, man. Like if your
I just feel
Caitlyn
like you're
is
never
hitting
gonna
your
be able to hit
Ziggs,
the Ziggs.
it's the Ziggs I played against in Metashift last week who's flashing in my face.
Yeah.
So like it's just not happening,
Yeah.
you know?
The other thing I'll say is in a comp that features Wukong with Sundered Sky, with
Mhm.
Lewis on Swain, with
Yep.
Amundo, our only heal cut is an Oblivion Orb on Zac.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a tough place to be, you know?
Gonna need more than that. Yeah.
So I just feel like a little bit of this a little bit of this loss is self-inflicted just to like the shopkeeper, right?
Yep.
Um Mythic Chaos went 10-6-5, but at the same time, realistically, the later this game went, the less that mattered, right?
Yeah,
And
for
then
sure.
you look at the stacking healing on SG's side, the only heal cut being that Oblivion Orb on Zac,
It's not at all.
which it's nothing. Plus, Zac has to play into that comp and is going to die, right? Like
Yep,
realistically,
for sure.
like even if he has his passive available, like your job as Therocles is to die to allow your Xerath and Caitlyn to try to win the rest of the fight, right?
Yep.
And it's just it's kind of tough to see. So a little bit of draft blunders, a little bit of shot blunders through two games for
Mhm.
KOKG. If you're watching this series live, you're like, man, SG's probably got this in the bag. Um, they
Psych.
did not. They
They
did not
don't. And
have
we
it in
see
the
we see
bag.
an old, I think, what is it I would call, I mean, at least from the champions I've seen them play it, a classic mid jungle combo from KOKG. Maybe they don't have the skill line for it, but I imagine in game it made a hell of a difference to have it.
Yeah.
In I'll let you walk through the drafts and talk about
Yeah,
what
so
it was that really did it.
SG first pick on blue side, they pick up Victor, which um everybody kind of knows Victor's technically a flex pick. I think it's a fine B1.
Yep.
KOKG responds with Silas Misfortune. I think does a pretty good job of covering both bases as to where this Victor can go. I think Misfortune is a fine pick into Victor when paired with something aggressive,
Hmm.
which we'll see a little bit more of that later. Sivir, Leona, the response for SG. Uh, a fine wave clear into Misfortune and really good wave clear overall from this SG draft. Great
Yeah.
setup from the Leona. So far no qualms for either of these sides. And then
Yep.
Rakan for KOKG picked up Rakan Misfortune,
Very nice.
not Leona, but it's the same thing. Some
Yeah.
might say it's a little bit better, just being able to chain that CC with the ultimate with the W. Silas access to Leona ultimate. Really good stuff from both sides. I don't have any problems with either draft so far. SG is definitely gonna have to play scaling, right? any early game fights
Yep.
are going to go KOKG's way with the Silas picked, with the Misfortune early access items.
Yeah.
Um, if you can respect that and scale, I think SG's in a fine spot. KOKG, same thing. They have a little bit more of an early game presence, but the team fight is not going to be an issue. Volibear picked up for KOKG. Rek'Sai Ornn for SG.
Yeah.
Now, that's a little bit weird to me. Not necessarily the Ornn, but the Rek'Sai, right? Because
Yeah,
if
that's where
you
I was gonna go.
if you look at SG, they really just want to stay at a range and have uptime in team fights, right? In order to do
Yep.
that, you usually surround those types of characters with either frontline or sustain, right? In this case, Leona Ornn, plenty of frontline. Um,
Yep.
I get wanting to lock more damage. I just don't think it can be Rek'Sai, you know? Like,
I
if
agree.
Rek'Sai goes in, at best, you're looking for a 1-for-1, right? Because you have no follow up. Nobody's gonna go
Yep.
in with you, right? It's not like Silas is there alongside you. You're putting pressure on their back line. It's literally like, hey, if SG locks his Rek'Sai in, they gotta go like full lethality Rek'Sai, and they gotta burst the Misfortune.
Gotta go for one shot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
because there's not really a lane where like basically if you're picking Rek'Sai here, you're basically saying, hey, I'm gonna like just gank the hell out of everyone, and we're just gonna smash early game.
yeah,
And you're just not gonna be able to play, and that's how we're gonna win. But again, like as you pointed out, you have a number
it's
of
triple
champions that are
scaling.
very,
It's triple
very
scaling.
good. Yeah, it's triple scaling. And so, at least in my mind, I think I get maybe part of the logic is, hey, we need that bridge. We need some champion that's gonna
Yeah.
bridge us through early in and part of early mid into that mid late game section. I just don't think Rek'Sai is that bridge that you want. I think it's too dialed on the early game success that you're looking for, and you need something, like you said, much more of the traditional bruiser type champion
Mm-hmm.
that's available to you, or something that's gonna be uh or something that's gonna be more tanky and for that. But I think the bruiser is probably the right call here. I'm not positive exactly what you're looking at in
So
this situation, but
Jarvan banned away,
probably a couple things.
which is great from KOKG. I think
Yeah.
Jarvan here would have been
Yeah.
awesome.
Would have been great. Yeah.
Here's like obviously
Yeah.
draft. We can look at this and pick it up, like pick it apart. We're not on the
Sure.
clock. It's 2020. Like hindsight's 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's my pitch. This was before a specific champion got nerfed. I think Nefiri goes great here.
Yeah.
You get buffed up by Sivir. You still have that backline access that Rek'Sai is trying to perform, right? Put some pressure on this
Yep.
Misfortune. You have access to W, right?
Yeah.
So you can
Dude.
go in, look for a
Broken.
lot of damage, potentially a one shot, right?
Yeah.
But then W yourself to safety and allow Victor Sivir to carry on that
Mhm.
fight, right? You have a bunch of mobility. Rek'Sai just
Yeah.
doesn't have that unless there's a bunch of tunnels set up beforehand.
Sure.
So I think honestly Nefiri would have been great there. But like you
And
said,
even
any kind
even
of
if you're worried
bruiser.
about the engage from them, right? They engage, just insta pop W,
Hmm.
hit them on the counter attack, and then you can follow up your 4v5, your 5v4 now, follow up with your R or R2 if you used it on the
Hmm.
to cover the engage. Anything like that. So I think, yeah, Nefiri is a decent, quite a decent option
Was
in
decent.
this.
Rek'Sai
Well,
or
was, yeah. They
Nefiri
they did they did take her up back a little
Nefiri
bit
Nefiri's
recently.
gotten pretty nerfed since then.
They
But
did take
I
her
think it
up
would have been a
back.
fine pick.
Yeah.
Skarner locked in for
Yep.
KOKG, which was just gonna make this Rek'Sai's hard job even harder. Now the roles have reversed, right? KOKG is playing a comp that wants to hit level 6, run at you, hit their Rs, and win the team fights. SG is gonna have to require a lot of patience. They have to withstand an initial engage from KOKG, and then I think they're golden, right?
Yep.
Like they
Yeah.
can continue to carry the fight. If Sivir gets uptime, right? The longer the fight goes, the more SG is gonna be favored. But I just feel like when you have the ability to hit R and do a ton of damage, it's just so much easier to play, right?
For sure.
So in this game 3 goes 35 and a half minutes. Obviously, it does result in an SG loss. And this Rek'Sai, where we weren't too high on, definitely struggled. This was
Yeah.
Jake's probably one of the worst games he's had in ECL.
I would say, yeah, probably.
Which speaks to his strength as a player, right? Like if we're
Yep.
3 games into into a playoff series in semifinals,
Yeah.
and we're saying like, yeah, this was rough. That's a great place to be in terms of
Yeah.
individual performances. But yeah, I mean, the navigation of the team fight was going to be hard. Your ability to scale was going to be hard. And Mythic Chaos basically goes untouched, 15-1-7. Credit to, all of his teammates around him,
Yeah.
allowing him to
I
do
mean,
that. Helium Bamboo,
especially
0-0-24,
bro.
right?
Like that bot lane just cooked, right? Like
Yeah.
it's insane.
And they show up, they hit R, right? Plenty of lockdown, solo rusher with access to Ornn ult, Victor ult, Leona ult.
Leona art.
Like,
Ugh.
it just screamed to me
Yeah,
like, hey, like we gotta pick something other than the Rex side. But that's what ended up happening. SG goes down. Now they're still up 2-1, right? Like, yeah, it sucks you lose, but next win we win the series, right?
Yep.
KOKG is definitely on the back foot, but now they have a little bit of momentum, right? Now they've gotten a win.
Yeah.
They say we can beat these guys, and that's a scary place to be for the opposing team, right? Because momentum in league is a very real thing. We see it with lower bracket runs. We see it with the amount of reverse sweeps that come through. And that momentum continued into game 4 for KOKG. Now, here things get interesting. I really like the setup for SG's draft, right? So they B1 Broken Mordekaiser, right?
Yep.
Like,
take that thing.
I think it's Broken Mordekaiser.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the 27th. It's the same day that they played the GCC series. So yeah, it's pre the patch they nerfed him. So
okay. Is
yeah,
it pre the patch? Is it pre the patch? No, because it's 2 week cycles.
No, it's the buff. It's the buff patch. It's the buff patch.
So they pick Mordekaiser B1, right? And they basically sign in and say like, hey, this is a really good champion on this patch. We're gonna first pick it, and it does still maintain some flexibility. As you'll see later on, KOKG responds with Set Senna. So they basically say, hey, we think this Mord is top, right?
Yep.
We are slamming Set as a response to this pick. Okay. Senna comes in as a great scaler. I'm not gonna lie, ever since Senna got nerfed several patches in a row, not a huge fan of the champion, but it's fine. Like, it's not a horrible pick.
Yeah.
It's just not as good as it used to be. Jinx's response to the Senna, I think it's a great lane into the Senna. I think he scales just alongside Senna as well as Senna does. And then Tom Kench, the pickup for SG. Kind of throws a wrench into KOKG right now. It's like, okay, are we sure the Mord's top? Could it be Tom top? Is it Tom support? Right? Like, I really like the idea of keeping KOKG on their toes regarding this draft from SG and the flexibility they have. But I think Morgana is a great pick by KOKG into what SG is showing, right? They're basically saying like, hey, no matter where these champions go, they are melee champions that walk very slowly at me, right? So as Morgana, right, I get access to Rylai's. I have my Q. Like, if we get to objectives first, Mordekaiser, Tom Kench, no matter where they're at, what position they're playing, they're not gonna have a very fun time, right? Brand, the pickup for KOKG on 4, Akali Shen comes through from SG. So now it's like, okay, Tom Kench is definitely support. Mordekaiser could still be top, could still be Jung. We're gonna find out on the load screen. All right. And then Akali, of course, in mid. Pantheon, the pick for KOKG. Now, what's interesting about this Pantheon pick is look at the tools it's surrounded by, right? All you have to do to win a fight is find a W on Jinx or Akali. It's going to be followed up by Brand W, Brand E, Morg W, Morg Q, Senna damage, set damage, right? Pantheon has access to the Black Shield to make it happen. And so KOKG basically says like, hey, we might not know where all of these champions are going, but we know you don't have a lot of range. We know you have to walk into me. So we're just going to make your life a living hell. We're going to get to objectives first. We're going to make it really hard for you guys to approach. So while I thoroughly enjoyed what SG was doing with their draft, KOKG's response was just, superb, right? In terms of like picking these very punishing champions into short range melee champions. And it worked out for him.
Yeah, but it was close.
It was close.
It was looking a little rough there. I
Yeah,
mean, I think I watched bits and pieces of this game if I remember correctly, and
they
obviously the
won.
scoreboard.
Yeah, they won with
Yeah,
less
go.
kills.
Yeah, they won with less kills, which is crazy. But I think one thing to note is like it looks like Solar Rush are like 9-3, 9-3. Like, oh my gosh, this guy is just completely turboing. If I remember correctly, I think the combos of like Mythic Helium and Pharaoh were doing quite a bit of work in terms of like the DPS, and Solar Rush was kind of cleaning up a good
Mm-hmm.
number of those fights. Was
Yep.
a lot of what was happening. So Mythic was scaling up. This game went 35 minutes. Helium getting a lot of damage down on the brand. Pharaoh getting a lot of range damage down. Ratsu with the hull breakers, so going for that more split push type stuff and being able
Eh,
to decide a bit.
what I want to say about Ratsu,
Yeah,
what 1 in 5 played the split perfectly, in my opinion.
there you go.
Because
W
look
Ratsu.
at the tower difference in this game.
Yep.
You can beat me in kills, but League is objective based, right? Like if I take more objectives than you do, I will probably win the game. And so Ratsu was able to open up the map, especially with that help from Solar Rusher in terms of that semi global presence with the ultimate.
Yep.
Um, and basically it was, hey, we got to send multiple to Ratsu. While you guys are doing that, we're gonna win out on the other side of the map.
Yep.
And like, yeah, it sucks to have a 154 KD, but if you're exuding that kind of pressure and you're
Yeah.
leading to wins, I'm fine with that
I
being
mean,
the
dude,
case.
Pharaoh had the most gold in the game. Ratsu was only behind him by like 600 gold in a bit.
Yeah,
And he was 1-5 and 4, and like that just goes to show like how much work he was doing on the sidelines and how much gold he was just inhaling from taking those turrets.
yeah,
So yeah, big shout out to him. Good
yeah,
work on that.
yeah. And then we talked about this short range comp into
Yep.
Morgana and Pantheon and Senna
Yeah.
and Brand, and so I think it was a great 4-1 comp. It was basically like, hey, if you send multiple to Ratsu, we'll take the objectives, and then if you send multiple to us, we have responses, right? Like
Yep.
we're not fish out of water without Ratsu being there. So if they played fight slow, they racked up objectives, they got the win. Like you said, it was
Yeah.
close. SG
Yeah.
definitely found avenues to win some skirmishes and team fights, but at the end of the day, objectives are what matters, and that's exactly what KOKG got. And now it's
Yeah.
2-2, right? Now this 2-0, potentially 3-0 sweep that SG thought they could have achieved is now a tie ball game heading into the ninth. Could be anybody's series.
Yep.
Um, but we all know how it ended up. SG was able to bring it back. So SG goes, hey, we got away from what was giving us some wins. Team
Yep.
fights and showing up and hitting R. We're going to lock Smolder B1. KOKG goes Twitch Maokai.
Now, before
Um,
we go into this deeply, I do want to talk about two things on that Smolder pick.
yeah.
So first of all, SG has Dory in as AD carry this
Yes.
game. So
At
Dory
this
K.
on
That's a big thing.
Yep.
And Dory, from what I have been told, Dory has, I think, a couple big champions, and Smolder is one of like either high up or top of that list. So letting it in. Secondly, my thing with Smolder in game fives. This is my thing. It's a little bit psychological, but like my psychology with game five is my propensity for risk in game one is way higher than it is in game five.
Yep.
And who loves a game where little risk is being introduced by the opposing team? Smolder. It
Yep.
gets to go long. They're probably going to be a little bit treading on eggshells, especially in a game five. So I was kind of surprised to see the Smolder come through and KOKG allow it. Like, if I'm looking at Dory's list and I know Smolder is on there, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not on the OPG, maybe it doesn't show. But some people seem to know about it, and it's like, hey, we're in game five, and we have this safe scaling champion that's one of the players up their picks. We need to take that out, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But
And what's interesting about what you're saying here,
mhm.
and I agree with every point.
Yeah.
I remember there being some discourse after this game, specifically about draft,
Mm.
where I don't want to put words in people's mouth. I'm pretty sure it was Mythic, because Mythic was, so from what I remember, some words were said about the Garen gameplay this game,
Yeah.
basically Mythic said like, "Hey, we knew what SG was picking. We felt like we had really good responses." Um,
Yep.
which is interesting to me. And the reason being is because if you know Smolder is coming out, I think Twitch is fine, right? Like
Yeah.
Twitch is a pretty good lane bully, and it alters the way a team has to approach their vision and
Yep.
their I guess willingness to step up and look for aggressive angles, knowing that Twitch could be somewhere, right?
Yep.
Twitch is a fine pick, but then Maokai, which Maokai is also a fine pick. Has some flexibility in draft, right? Could go jungle, could go top, could go support. Is whatever. But if you think Milio is going to come through, why not just take it? I think Twitch Milio is a fine pairing, and I
Yeah.
just think that if you know Milio's going to be picked, why are you locking Maokai, right? Like realistically, why,
Yeah.
right? I just
I agree.
Maokai doesn't get to do anything when there's a Milio on the other side, right? Like now that's kind of
Yep.
exaggerated, right? Like Milio, like Maokai can still look for, gank or roam angles or whatever.
Nah,
Still
you
has
have
access
our
to the
team fight
ults,
stuff, but
but like if Milio doesn't get hit by that ult, like it's just R for
eh,
R and Milio's up,
yep.
right? So like I just you can say that you were prepared for everything, but then the
Mhm.
draft is questionable, in my opinion. Now, if you thought
Yeah.
like, "Hey, this is a great response,"
Mhm.
then it is what it is, right? Like if you thought that
But
that would be good, then
But even still, like my argument, I think still is that like even if we think we have a response against Smolder, like I want it to be like, dude, I know for a fact this Smolder cannot play the game,
yeah,
and there's zero doubts about it. And if that's what's going on in comms, then good on them for having the confidence, and I guess they just weren't able to execute.
yep,
But if you don't have that in a game 5 situation, I'm not letting Smolder come in. Like I just don't
yep,
want to see a scaling champion that puts us on a clock despite likely what scaling we do have.
yeah.
Like I don't want to see that clock come out and then all of a sudden we get to a point where like, oh my god, the baby dragon is now elder and I'm depressed because we didn't get to end this game before or we are so close to ending this game before and that sucked.
Now, what I will
So
say
that's my
in Kyokiji's defense is the
yeah.
rest of the draft, I felt like were actually pretty good responses, right? So like Ari's
Yeah,
picked,
I agree.
and Mel is the counter pick. Like if you think Ari's coming through, which has been a favorite of Lewis's throughout the season, then I think having that Mel there is great, right?
Yep.
Um, picking the Amumu blind to set up your team fight, right? So like, hey, you're basically saying if we chain our ults, right? Like if Maokai ult goes thirst, Milio has to cleanse that one. Now I have access to a Mumu ult. Then that's fine. But then there's pressure on execution, right? So like
Hmm.
having what you think is a great response into the Milio for having them pick and
Yep.
choose like what they're gonna ult is fine on paper, right? But then you have to put paper to practice, and
Yep.
like if you fail to execute, then it's pretty disastrous, right? Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
so
that's my
so
qualm.
so
In theory, good
I
responses,
think I think
but
in theory is
the
fine.
practical. Yeah,
Sejuani is whatever for SG, right? I think it's
sure.
kind of a
Yep.
weird pick with 3 ranged characters locked already, but it's
Yeah.
frontline, has good access to ulti, whatever. Gragas blind, I'm a big Gragas fan. I think he's one of the most blindable champions in top lane. Um,
Yep.
does fine in arranged matchups for the most part. Um, should do well into most, if not all, melee matchups. And then
Hmm.
Garen's response for KOKG. Now, the way that this game went was KOKG knew they were operating on a clock, and it definitely like showed that they were operating on a clock, right? So
Yeah.
by that I mean I feel like there was a lot of pressure for Ratsu to win through sides like he had done on the set game.
Hmm.
And there was a lot of pressure for this Twitch to just one shot the Smolder in any fight, right?
Yeah.
And it led to some very interesting team fights from KOKG,
Yeah.
where in reality, like the game goes 35 and a half minutes. I think for KOKG, they could sit there and say, like, yeah, we had avenues to win. Mel did fine. Ratsu did great in the 1v1. Right? This Gragas was kind of whatever. like did 12k
Yeah.
damage, another 35-minute game, went 1-3-3. Top lane wasn't
Yep.
really a focus for either of these teams. But this theory of chaining Maokai ults with the Mumu ults, and this theory of Twitch being able to one-shot this Smolder just didn't come to fruition.
Never happened.
And here is my plead with
Yeah.
anybody that wants to play comp. Don't pigeonhole yourself into having to win one way in any game.
Yep.
Because if that
Yep.
one way doesn't work, you're done. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Smolder goes 12-0-6, most damage in the game, most gold in the game, doesn't get touched.
Yeah.
And this theory that we had that we were ready to play into the Smolder remained a theory.
Yeah, and I just feel like, because I was watching this game, it seemed like KOKG was just very uncomfortable as a team.
Yeah.
In the situation that they were. Like, I think there wasn't a clear game plan of what's gonna happen. Just some mental lapses too. Like, I saw Mythic Chaos walk up in stealth, face first to an Ari, kiss her on the cheek with Twitch. And I'm just like, I've seen Mythic play, and he's a good 80 carry. And I'm like, I know we're not just doing that, like, out of like that's a
It's the
game
pressure.
5 moment.
It's
That's
the pressure.
It's the
for sure.
pressure and just like losing, like being like just having so much going on in your head and being like, oh, like I am not where I should be. So yeah, it definitely seemed like there was more composure from SG, and maybe it was because they're like, okay, dude, we've got from their perspective, like we got the Smolder. We're
Just
being
keep
chill.
them up.
Like,
Just keep the
we can
Smolder up.
we can
and
just
we're
keep them
fine.
alive, chill out, do a nice chill comp. Like you said, I mean, top lane, like I'll say earlier, Ratsu was frying IDK, if I remember correctly. Like I think he's killing it. So like
almost
even
6,000
despite
gold
that,
up. Right.
yeah, IDK Inc. was still chill. Like the team held it relatively chill, and they just played. They knew what their win con was. They knew what they needed to do, and they made it happen. And KOKG, you could tell that discomfort coming through, and a bit of that pressure, that burden of execution, that pressure getting to them a little bit, and they just weren't able to get it going. So
I think that was made
an
most
unfortunate end for
manifest.
them.
Yeah, it was made most manifest in that last fight, right? From
Yeah.
the lasting image it started around Baron, where Ratsu comes down, Mythic Chaos opens up, gets a couple kills, both sides get kind of low.
Yeah.
They walk away, and then Mythic Chaos just goes invisible and turns back around while Ratsu's just watching, right? And I'm not blaming anybody in that situation. It was clearly a miscommunication.
Absolutely.
But like that is pressure made manifest, right? Where like in reality, both sides kind of walk away limping. Neither side can get Baron.
Yeah.
From what I remember, I don't think Baron was taken. If it was, then hey, that's on me. But like at the end of the day, like it shouldn't have been what was essentially a game losing play. But it's a lot of like, hey, I think we could do this, and maybe one or two are saying no, we can't, and then it just ends
or
up being...
even it's just brain to hand, and Mythic just sees it and just thinks I have to go for it, and that brain to mouth connection just never happens, and the calm doesn't come out, and his teammates aren't seeing the same thing. So, which common occurrence to happen regardless in League, and especially in a game 5 could very well see that happening of just like, oh, I thought you guys saw that, and now we were going like, dang it. And so that's
for those unaware of what Clown means from brain to hand, right? I coach Clown on his team, and a lot of what I think is communication issues is League players, when they play League, naturally they just go brain into inputs, right? Like brain to hands. They don't really talk to anybody. But in comp, you have to, right? So you have to kind of rechannel that energy into brain through your mouth to your hands, right? Because if you don't do that, then you get results like this. And so, unfortunately for KOKG, their Silver Scrapes runs come to an end here in semifinals, and SG, despite a little bit of a scare there, comes out on top. That's semifinals for you. We're actually making pretty good time. It was only been an hour.
We're like, so, all right, cool. Let's talk about this finals, man.
Let's talk about the
GCC
finals,
SG, the number one seeds from both of the groups.
which you don't
Ember
see very
format,
often.
perfect.
I feel like,
Yeah, I know. I agree. Like normally there's some upsets or someone in there's getting knocked out, but hey, everyone made it through. And I think this one, I was excited about this matchup because and I know you've talked about it extensively, and I agree, is that GCC, again, very consistent team, relatively solid. They don't make a ton of major mistakes, but they're also not going to push you super hard and do have a ton of that proactivity. SG, they have that proactivity that can punish GCC in what we've seen in their few individual game losses that have happened over the season.
mhm.
The problem is that SG is inconsistent about it. Sometimes you'll get them, they're on point, they'll do it, they'll be very proactive, and other
Yeah.
times it's a little bit of a mess going into the series. So I was honestly thinking I could have seen it going either way. If SG is on it and they're really, operating at like peak SG, I could have seen them very easily taking the series with the seals they have. However, that's a big freaking if. And GCC are consistent. And again, you make enough mistakes, as many of these teams in IBSG do. GCC have proven they are very good at punishing that.
So here's what I'll say about finals
Yeah.
matchups, right? Everything you've said with in terms of like how these teams
Yeah.
approach the game, super valid. Stuff that I've said before. I think when looking at a finals matchup, you should have every tool available to you to prepare for said matchup, right?
Yep.
You have data from a full regular season. You have data from uh pretty much a full playoffs, right?
Yep.
You should be aware of what the opposing wants to do, when they want to do it, and why they're trying to do said things, right? The reason I'm going on this little bit of a tangent is for this finals series, and I've been told that Solis is a coach and they got
Yeah.
help with drafting, and this is not a shot to the coach. This is just an observation that I've seen multiple teams at this level make, is that Solis's drafting, specifically their banning, was very lazy because they were just
Yep.
banning things they thought GCC would pick, and they weren't really doing it with any rhyme or reason, right? It's just like, oh, like they play Ari, they play Braum, they play Cassante, right? We'll just
Yep.
ban them and be okay, right? Where if you look at GCC, their picks obviously are pretty targeted, but they make sense in how they're trying to approach the actual draft.
Yeah.
So they ban Shyvana, right? They say, hey, Solus has shown that they're willing to first pick Shyvana. We're gonna ban it away, perhaps because they don't have a like Silas player, right? I'm not saying they do or they don't. Maybe they just don't
I
feel
don't
they don't feel
think so. I don't
picking
think they do.
Silas, so they're just gonna ban the Shyvana away.
Yeah.
Great, right? Makes sense. Darius is kind of like a wild curveball pick, which Solus could flex. Most of the time does go into Jake's hands. It's a comfort pick. So I'm fine with that ban. But here's what I'll say. The Ziggs ban, if you're Solus and you don't read what's about to happen, that's on you. Ziggs banned away because Woven wants to play Jinx, man. Like that's screaming, oh, we're picking Jinx, you know? And if
Yep.
Solus can't B1 it, then something has gone horribly wrong, right? Because if they can't B1 it, why are we banning Cassante? You know, ban the Jinx. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I mean by like lazy banning, right? So Wukong
hmm
B1, whatever. It's a fine pick. Like, I don't think Wukong is the highest priority champion. But it,
hmm
it does well into most comps as a comfort pick for a lot of junglers, sure, whatever. But then GCC gets the Jinx that they've prepped for, right? They banned the Ziggs
Yep.
away. So like what's the response gonna be? Probably a whole bunch of nothing, you know? And then the Mordekaiser picked it, which is arguably the most OP pick in low elo
Yep.
comp. And it's just a pick that does well in a T-die, right? We can call it what it
Yeah.
is. This is T-Dye insurance.
He has
Like,
not held back that his hatred for Mordekaiser. That guy just like, and I will say it's like multiple people I've played with top lane, at least at like the IBSGP level, is just a mental block for them for some reason. It's just like Mordekaiser, just like, dude, I just can't.
yeah,
So shout out to Tycon for being a homie and
and just
grabbing the
yeah,
Mordekaiser for his boy. Make
picking
sure
it
it's
up.
out for the rest of the series. We're chilling.
So Smolder, the response from Solus, like,
Mhm.
okay, like we got to scale. They have Jinx or whatever. Smolder doesn't do jack into Jinx in lane, right? Like it's
Yep.
whatever. Jinx is gonna be fine. Like Jinx is
Yep.
arguably a better scaler because she has a better mid game than Smolder does. Smolder just
Sure.
isn't a champion until he gets the soul points or whatever. Singe is a favorite of IDK.
Yeah.
He gets his hand on it. I think it's a fine pick into most of T-Dye's picks. It's whatever, right? But if you look at what GCC does, they lock in Seraphine. So now you have a Wukong and a Singe that have to run at you to play.
Yep.
You have to run past the Mordekaiser with ulti. You have to run past the Seraphine with ulti. It's just gonna be hard, you know?
Yeah.
Like
It's a
this
big
is just
cook.
lazy picks and bans, man. It's Solus was let's just pick some of the favorites from GCC or ban them away and pick some of our own like favorites, right? But
Yep.
thematically, like yeah, Wukong could go in with Singed. Does Smolder really get to follow up, right? Like I wouldn't say so, right? Like I think
Yeah.
Smolder's a champ that just wants frontline, right? Which I don't
Yep.
think. I mean, Wukong Singe can function like that, right? But it's not their role. Like that's not how they
Yeah.
want to play, you know. But if you look at GCC, it's like, hey, we want this Jinx to be able to free hit. Mordekaiser's gonna ult one of the melees away, and Seraphine's gonna keep her alive. You know, like,
Yep.
I mean, that's great. Now here's my other issue. Okay, Solus knows. Okay, they have to pick top, and they have to pick support. Which one of those positions do you think is more important for GCC's draft?
I mean, I would hazard to guess that it's top lane. I mean,
Or well,
T-Dye
they don't
did.
have to pick support. Seraphine is a flex,
Or
right?
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so you have top, mid, and support, right? I
And
mean,
if
just thinking about T-Dye, like I don't know. I feel like Beru Buckby plays a lot of stuff. T-Dye, I think a little bit more concentrated of a player. So in my head, I'm like, let's ban out the top lane because we know we can hit that pool relatively reliably.
and you
Whereas mid,
know for
yeah,
sure top has to be picked. Seraphine can be
yes.
flexed, right?
Seraphine, yes, that's true. Yeah, they
So
could
if
always.
if you
they just couldn't
ban
put it
two mid laners,
Yeah.
it could just go mid. If you ban two supports,
Yep.
it could go support, right? Just ban two tops. You know, you did
Yeah.
it once. You banned Cassante away.
Yep.
Why not keep on that trend, right? Ban something that's not going to allow either a split push to happen or some backline access to happen with the Smolder or some frontline for the Jinx. Like, just do something that thematically you don't want to see GCCE pick, right? The reason I bring it up is because T-Dye loves Mbessa. I don't care
Dude.
how good you think you are at Singed. I don't care how well you think you're going to put down this Mbessa pick. Just ban it away, man. Like, you just banned Comfort. Why did you not keep doing that? You know? Like, so yes, Mbessa into Singe, I think is probably like a pretty crappy matchup for Mbessa, right? But Mbessa knows as long as I don't run it down against Singe, it doesn't matter because I will have backline access into Smolder, into Mel with no frontline for either of those champions. Yes, I see Rel, right? Like, but what is Rel going to do?
Yeah.
She's going to engage with Wukong Singed, right? Who's protecting the Smolder? Who's protecting the Mel? Nobody. Mbessa has ulti, right? Like, Mbessa is going to get to your backline. So I don't care how well you think this pick of Singe is going to play into Mbessa. You have to be thinking post 15 minutes, how do my comps function into the enemy team's comps, right? Mbessa just knows if I don't sprint it, I will kill Smolder or I will kill Mel in team fights, right? And then so Rel Mel picked, sure, it's a team fight comp with the Singed, right? Like they're gonna have backline access, they have a little bit of frontline. Theoretically, Smolder Mel should be able to stand up and play. Lulu, great pick for the Jinx, right? I think Lulu Jinx is going to have its way with Rel Smolder in the early game, unless they get some outside help, which Wukong doesn't really want to do until he gets 6. So you're just giving more time for Jinx Lulu to get 6. And then realistically, the only way Solus can play is if Mel W Seraphine ult, right?
Yes.
We're gonna pull up the image the post game scrap shot, but we all watched this game.
Yep.
Do any of us remember Mel Wing Seraphine ult?
Which is the biggest problem, because again, like, that is a really, as a critical tool, because like, all things considered, GCC doesn't have a whole lot of engage. It
Yeah,
really, I mean, and Bessa R if you want to, and then, but really it's Seraphine R. Seraphine
yeah,
R is your engage. So again, if you have the Mel, I was looking at this draft and I'm like, oh my gosh, SG has a great angle. You hold Mel W for everything under the sun that isn't Seraphine R, and then you press it when Seraphine presses R. Their engage or counter engage, whatever it may be, is basically made null and void, and then you should be able to play fights. But yeah, the Mel, unfortunately, Lucifer was not able to find the W button when the Seraphine ults were coming out. So it's a bit
yeah.
rough.
And then we think Cinch is going to do well into T-Dies and Bessa. It does not, right? Like, so there's just some things like, yes, we can balance comfort with what our team's trying to do. But at the end of the day, the reason why I think Solus's draft was lazy wasn't necessarily because they didn't do any prep. It's just that the prep that they did, it needs to be not just, let's ban away some champs that we think they're good at and let's pick some champs that we think we're good at. It needs to be cohesive. There needs to be some sort of theme between what you're doing at all phases during draft, right? And I think
Yep.
GCC, like, yeah, they didn't really have a bunch of engage, right? But they could have uptime, and realistically,
Yes.
as long as Jinx doesn't get touched, none of that else, like none of the rest of
Yeah.
it matters, right? And
That's true.
and
Yep.
like it's so hard to get on top of this Jinx, right? You have to go past the Mordekaiser with ult. You have to go past the Seraphine that has access to E, that has access to Q, that has access to ult, that built a Rylai's, right? You have to go past the Lulu that has a polymorph, that has an ultimate, that has a shield for the Jinx, right? And if the reason why I get a little bit frustrated is if GCC bans Singed, you know Jinx is coming. Why are we not prepped for that? Like, if you're gonna let it go through,
You mean Ziggs. He banned Ziggs.
or
Ban Ziggs.
yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
ban Ziggs. If
Yeah.
they ban Ziggs to prep this, like,
Yeah.
if I'm the coach and I read that draft, oh shit, like they're going to pick Jinx, right? We either ban
Yep.
it or we have to have a response, and we did neither, right? That to me is the most frustrating, right? And so like, no flame whatsoever to Solus's coach. Like, I get it. This is a plague on amateur comp as a whole. Like, this is not how you draft, right? Like, it has to be cohesive. You have to have some answers. You have to have some parts of the comp that you want to play. But at the end of the day, we can't just ban some champs and pick some champs. Like, that has to be cohesive. And so, credit to Belmont. They put together a fine draft. I was, like you, worried about Beru, Seraphine ultis just getting W'd by Lucifer, right? Because then there's nothing to follow up T-Die on an ult or set a T-Die ult up.
Correct. Yeah.
It just didn't happen, right? It's finals. Maybe Lewis is nervous. Whatever. At the end of the day, like, execution is what it is. But credit to GCC for playing not only what they do well, but making it work thematically in their comp, right? Like, they had answers into what SG was presenting them. They were able to play comfort and make it all work together where they could, T&I could go 4-1, right? Like, he could split push once he gets a lead into IDK. They could play 5v5, right? They could do a whole bunch of things that they do well, and they prepared an excellent draft for it, right? Like, I think if you're grading just how the series is going to go off draft, like, GCC gets like an A+ and SG gets a C, right? Like, like, it's passing, right? You do have some things that you could do well. Like, you have great engage. If Wolven ever steps up, like, you should be able to snap engage on an out of position Jinx. Then the fights look extremely differently, but like extremely different. But if Wolven doesn't do that, like, how do you play? Like, that's the hard part. And it shows, right? It's 7-21, right? Like, it's not like I'm talking out of my ass. Like, they showed up to team fights and wanted to play them, and they could not. Like, so it is what it is. Which, like, I don't want to blame everything on draft. Like, execution is important, and GCC was able to execute. SG came out flat, and this is kind of the fear with SG, right? is that
Yeah.
unless Jake, and I was getting flamed for my take about Lewis. Lewis is a big part of why this team does well when they do well. Is like Lewis
Yep.
is a big playmaker slash damage dealer for this team. Jake and Lewis, one or both of them have to get off to a fast start for this team to do well, in my opinion. That's my opinion. The stats I
Fair.
feel like backs it up. Where like if they're flat, they don't win. Um, but this was kind of the fear about SG is like, okay, like unless Jake is gonna carry or unless Lewis is online, like realistically, what is this series gonna look like? And through one game, didn't look very good, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was my rant about draft. Clown, do you have anything to add for this game one?
I mean, we kind of talked about a lot of what
Yeah,
happened in game one, and I think that's really it. Like, you kind of nailed the points. Like, it did feel like SG kind of picked my favorite champs, the team comp,
yeah.
and there just was not a lot of cohesion for what happens in the game. And again, I think the other thing too, like I'm thinking about this, and maybe SG had a different read. I think it's GCC has a lot of great players on their team. I think it would be T-Dye and Beru. I would say are like the top two with Wolven a very close third. And so
Mm-hmm.
maybe between for SG in their head, they're like, we need to shut down Beru as a mid lane. And that's why the bans went the way that they did. Things like that.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like it's the top lane, and maybe they just again that's why maybe they went decisions. They're like, this is a neutralizing pick. We should stop T-Dye from being able to doing this thing, or we're not as worried about T-Dye doing this thing. But I feel like that's the lane that you want to try and bring the power level closer to, so that T-Dye can't run away with things. And again, because his champion pool, I think relative to what Beru has shown us, is a little bit more limited, particularly in like the fighter style champions that are
Well,
available. I think Beru's got a lot more carry stuff that he can execute on than T-Dye might have in his
or just
upper echelon of the pool.
I call him Buckby champs, right? Buckby Barrow.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
Solas gambled and lost. They really thought the
Yeah.
Seraphine was going support, and they banned
Yeah.
Morgana Swain, right? Like
Yep.
just
Got
go with the
burned.
guarantee, right? Like you have to pick top, right? Like
Yep.
realistically, this Mordekaiser could be flex, and I understand, like, hey, it could be a flex.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think T-Dye has touched that champ a day in his life,
I'm
right?
pretty sure he's never played it.
Like if he has, it hurts his soul because he hates this champ so much. Like you just
Yep.
need to know, you got to be prepped. You got to know what you're walking into. If T-Dye has never
Yeah.
picked that champion, right? Like let's just, if you're gonna gamble, let's take like the 75% odds that this Mord isn't going top, as
Yep.
opposed to the 50-50 of the Seraphine going mid or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep.
So I definitely agree. We move on to game two.
Let's get
Solus
it.
on blue side once again. G1. Uh, big pickup for Lewis. Ari, a favorite of his champs, and also a champ that the Bear likes to play. Aurora picked up for GCC in response. Ash picked up as well. It's interesting to see the Ash come out. Not necessarily because I think Ash is horrible. I just feel like the best pairing is that Seraphine, which is
Yeah.
now off the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sivir picked up by Solus. Milio picked up by Solus. I think is a great 1-2 punch into an Ash lane, right? You have
Yep.
Spell Shield for the Sivir. You have ult for the Sivir through the Milio. You can even go the Mikhail's as well. So you can in a word have like in a way have 4 different ways to put down an Ashhole, right? You have Silver Spell Shield, Sivir can go cleanse, Milio ult,
Mm-hmm.
and Milio Mikhail's, right? Like I think that's a great spot to be for Solus. I think Ari provides a lot of backline access into something like the Ash as well, who is a mobile. Karma, a favorite for Beta, covers a lot of bases, so gives Ash a little bit more maneuverability that she otherwise wouldn't have. A lot of poke for a very short range comp, for a short range lane with the Sivir and Milio. And then, like I said, just kind of covers both Aurora and Ash with the access to Mantra E. Solus already has locked mid and AD carry, so if a champion comes out to go the Serpent's Fang for Karma, it has to be in jungle, right? didn't end up happening, right? So like Solus picks sorry, Sejuani is picked by GCCE. Um which again, really weird
Yeah.
that we
Rough
keep
Seju
seeing
game. I
we
really
keep
want to see it. If I'm Seju, I want to see a melee support.
yeah,
Like
we keep picking
always. I want to see
Sejuani
melee support.
with three ranged picks.
But
Maokai,
it's not like she uses it. Like she's
no,
still
she's
completely
fine.
fine.
I
But
just
it is definitely like usually, yeah, if I'm in that position of Tycon, I'm like, yo, I really want like Leona or something in that support
yeah.
role. But still, yeah, it's fine.
Maokai the response by
Yeah.
Solus, which I mean the Shyvana's off the board. You're not gonna want to play Darius into this comp for sure. I don't know. I just people feel like Jake was jailed this game. I don't know if that's really the case, right? Because if you
Yeah.
look at what the Maokai does, it does provide a wall for the Ari and Sivir to navigate around. It does provide some long range pick potential, right? Into something like the Aurora Karma, where if you can find them out, can
Sure.
CC them, you're going to be able to kill them. It's just not a pick that I really associate. Like, for example, if that pick was in Zhao, right? I feel a lot better about Solus' chances, right? Because it also
Yeah.
does pretty well into what GCCE wants to do. It's a lot of poke, right? Zhao has
Yep.
access to the ultimate. You go, you try to find a like an Ash or Karma or Aurora, whatever it might be.
Hmm.
Um, you get buffed up by the Sivir, buffed up by the Emilio. You have a go-in buddy with the Ari. Like I think that would have been better, right? More of a
Yep.
Jake carry pick, right?
Hmm.
Um, like I said, nothing wrong with the Maokai, and then you follow it up with Ornn. Obviously, like the idea is you're gonna 4-1 with Ari on sides. You have really good access to a 5v5 team fight, right? Ari backline
Yep.
access. Sivir just stands behind Maokai Ornn, gets buffed up by the Milio. Not a lot of tools for GCC to deal with bouncing boomerangs, the W and the Q, other than just trying to kill her. So I think it's a fine pick. I just don't think it's a Solus draft, right?
Yeah. That's
Uh,
where my head was at too. Was
yeah.
just I like to see. I think Solus does best when Jake is on those champions that are really not only able to make plays, but also to really put the game in a carry position. I think Zen is like a perfect pick here if
Mm-hmm.
that's something that's in his pool to play. I forget if he played it this season or not. I'm sure he has, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I that was kind of where my head was at. And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, the Maokai's fine, and I get it, but again, taking the players into account and what's capable, I think gives Solos better chances when Jake's on like a fighter style champion or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yone the R5 for GCC. It's a great pick into Ornn. It gives Sejuani a
Yep.
melee for these team fights. Um, and it's a favorite of T-Dice.
Which is a
Uh,
trend. We're not 2 for 2 on a favorite of T Dice making it through draft.
which like
Yeah.
okay. I'm not saying T-Dye could be banned out or picked out.
Yeah.
I think it's weird that like if you know you're gonna pick the Orin, right? Theoretically,
Yep.
Solus knows that they're gonna pick the Orin. Why are they
Yep.
afraid of the Cassante more than they are of the Yone? Right? Like
Yep. Exactly.
it's weird to me. I'd much rather just go tank for tank with the Cassante. Yes, Cassante still has kill threat under the Orin. I
Yeah.
recognize that. It's just so much less punishing than a Yone could be.
Yeah.
Um, and then the Malphite is just like a jungle coverage ban. Weird. Like
Or
I
yeah.
guess, you know, but that's why Sedge's
I
there. Like
guess.
you could play any sorts
Yeah.
of of picks there. So I don't know. I game two, once again, Baru
Yep.
pops off 13-0-12.
Huge.
Wolven
Huge roar game.
Alchemist goes 6-1-19. T-Dye had his way in lane, ends up 4,000 gold, 4.5k gold up on IDK,
Mhm.
and then also had some incredible team fights with the
Yep.
ultimate, setting up the rest of his team.
Mhm.
Um, Taika and Abita,
Yeah.
they do their job. They fulfill their roles very well. Um,
Yep.
and this after this game, all right, like
Yeah.
like this series
It,
is
it's
probably
looking
done.
pretty rough. It's
Like,
looking pretty rough. And you can even see just in the game, like in some decisions that they make, like Solus is not feeling great. Like again, like I don't know, maybe I'm reading into this too much, but I'm looking at IDK Inc.'s items, and we have Frozen Heart and Thornmail. Now, I get Frozen Heart's good into auto attack, but we have 2 crit champions in the game.
Yeah.
Do we not just grab the Randuins? Do we not just chill and get
So
our crit reduction? And the Thornmail too, like, there's not a lot of healing going on. I mean, you have Bork healing, I guess, but I mean, I just think Thornmail's a bad item from it. So it's just like these things of like, I don't know, it just makes me question like, hey, are we like is
well,
the kind of game getting to us a little bit
and
and we're just not making these smaller decisions of like, hey, all right, what do I do in this game state? What's relevant here and things like that. We're just kind of getting, oh man, like I'm down and this is like really rough and
so
yeah,
you and I were talking about
hard to tell.
like how this comp could actually do pretty well into GCC, but it required a couple things. One was there had to be some semblance of like um stability, right? Like by
Yeah.
that I mean they couldn't just lose the game in lanes, right? Which the
Yep.
lanes did
Yeah.
struggle.
Absolutely.
Um, but even if that didn't happen, we were actually talking about how Jake on this Maokai, if he had gone a different build, actually kind of throws a wrench into GCC's comp because they are so squishy, right? So here's some tech for you all, for all you junglers out there, or if you just want to try it at home. The Liandry's great by Jake, right? Uh, Little known item that I feel like doesn't get a lot of enough play is Imperial Mandate, which
Mandate supremacy, bro.
on Maokai is great, and here's why. So if you look at it, GCC, like yes, they're playing a team fight comp. They have great pick, right? They have the Sejuani ult, they have the Ashe ult, whatever. If they're walking into saplings and just getting chunked, that throws a wrench into their plans, right? And they have
Yeah.
to walk into saplings. Like
Yep.
they literally cannot do anything but walk through their own jungle. Most champs, that's what they have to do. Um, and so I believe the build we were discussing was something like Leandry's mandate,
Uh,
bloodletters.
Lord. Yeah,
Is that what it
that's one that I've
was?
seen because I've seen the pros at least do like Leandry's something bloodletters or even Leandry's bloodletters. I think is like one that I've seen them do as well.
And
So
it's
I think it
still
could
the
be.
reason why I was a big fan is it still allows
Mhm.
Jake to be kind of beefy, have access to
You
everything
got
that is
HP at least.
Maokai,
Yep.
but still do some damage, and more importantly, set up their fights, right? Because if they get to an objective first,
Mhm.
and GCC has to play into them, that's a great spot for that comp to be, right? You have to
Yep.
walk into Sivir, you have to walk into Ari, you have to walk into Maokai saplings and into that ult and into like
Hmm.
you have to walk into so many threats.
Yeah.
But the only way you can do that is if there's some stability in the early game, right? Like if you're not able to get that positioning some
Yeah.
way, then it's not gonna work. And then also Jake didn't go that build, so it didn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
Like
And even still, like on the Maokai, like too, with the mandate thing, like for those who don't know and haven't looked at mandate, you get extra CDR on all your immobilizing abilities. And Maokai is one of those champions. I'm also a big enjoyer of it on Zac because they have three immobilizing abilities. You have your ulti, you have Q for Maokai and W. Zac, you have Q and E. And so you can
and ult.
actually, I think the cooldowns are low enough where, and yeah, and alt as well. Yeah, of course. And the cooldowns I think are low enough where you can actually start getting some meaningful additional rotations of those spells in team fights because of how much CDR that you can stack. Um, so I think it's quite valuable to have an item like that in the game for this team comp, especially when you're getting it in situations again. You get the setup and you get into the fight. They've got a lot of stuff that goes in. You know, you've got the Asher that'll go in. The Bear's going to try to get backline access. Cyclone's going to try to get in. Tita's going to try to get in. So having those peel options available, having those spells come off rotation more, will help just keep Marte alive, and then Marte can just kind of free hit and do the
And
silver mid to late thing.
it does all that and then makes your team do 7% extra damage.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. How can I forget? Yeah. The whole
And
extra
so
percent damage is
it's a great
huge.
synergizing item, and then it helps Lucifer and Morte do damage, right? Those are your two damage
Yep.
dealers. You've locked in you pigeonholed yourself into them doing damage. So help
Yep.
them help you, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like everything you said, it's a great self-synergizing item, but also
Yeah.
like, hey, we have to win team fights. Let's make the job a little bit easier. Um this game was not that game for
No,
SG.
no, yeah, and like in a perfect world, if they get to play their team comp how they should have played it, I think it does noticeably help. But it's clear that they just couldn't get off the ground,
Yeah,
couldn't get a whole lot going.
GCC, to their credit, like you said, they're
Yeah.
the best team at mitigating mistakes. But also, I would say they're the best laning team top to bottom in terms of your
Yep.
solo
No,
lanes
I'd agree with that.
and your duo
I'd agree with
lane,
that for sure.
right? Like
100%.
realistically, like this team will lane very well, right? So if you know that, and if you want to play scaling, we got to game the system in our favor. Because like I said, if you play scaling, that's what GCC does, right? So like find some different things or things that might be overlooked by GCC to tip the scales in your favor. Something like the mandate Maokai, right? Or
Yeah.
some wild pick. Um, wasn't that for game 2? And then in game
Mhm.
3, I'm gonna be honest, I did not stick around because I was not having a lot of faith in Solus. Um, it kind of continued the theme of the series, right? So
Yeah.
GCC opens up with the Ziggs pick. It's great, right? Probably the best bot
Yep.
lane mage on the patch. Has that flexibility as well. We've seen Barrow play it. Pretty sure he still has the most damage in a game with this pick.
Probably. Yeah. Like
Um,
84k zigs.
yeah. Solus responds by picking a Kaisa, and I told Clown, this is where I checked out. Oh yeah, they lost.
Yeah.
Like realistically, like yes, the Amumu with some backline access with the ultimate. If you're able to keep the Ziggs down and have Kaisa respond and ult in and one shot the Ziggs, sure. Like on paper, it's a fine response, but you have to be proactive and willing to pull the trigger. And in a hey, if we lose, we're done situation, like
That's tough.
that's a tough place to be, right? Because and if the problem I see with this is if you don't play that, like your comp has to play that way. If you don't, the Ziggs is just going to poke you over and over and over and over and
Yeah.
over again.
Yep.
They double down. They pick Caitlyn, right? So now Kaisa, like, I mean, shoot, that could have been Ziggs bot and Kaisa would be struggling. It's Caitlyn bot. Kaisa's still struggling, right?
Yeah.
Um, GCC blind locks Nautilus. Solus, great pickup with the Braum, right? For the lane.
Yeah.
But after lane, this
Mhm.
Braum, this Kaisa, this Amumu, they're just taking bombs, they're taking headshots, they're eating traps. Like, what do they
Yeah.
do into the
Yeah.
poke that is Ziggs Caitlyn?
And this just goes to show, like, again, that point you made earlier of GCC being very intentional about their drafting choices. Like, I'm positive their coach knows that the Braum can come out here. But frankly, they probably just don't care. They're just like, we know that Kaisa Nautilus is like the Kaisa lane.
Yep.
Like, that is what people are often picking. So we take it, and if they decide to counter Braum, then who cares? Because it's Kaisa Braum. So yeah, lane in theory would suck. We have Caitlyn, who'd also bully the Kaisa as much as Nautilus can be bullied by a Braum. So,
But it
worst
who
case, it's
cares?
like,
Nautilus just needs
yeah,
to stand
exactly.
there and
That's the
Caitlyn
thing.
will win the lane by herself. Like
Exactly, exactly. Like that. If Nautilus just doesn't go, then it's fine. And then when you get in team fight phase, well, now Kaisa's out one of her big engage options, which usually comes through from support, and so that's detrimental to the overall team fight plan. And now you have a Nautilus that can
yeah.
play
Now
with team
Jake
fights. So
has to hit a good
yeah,
ult, right? Like
yes,
that's
yeah,
it goes back to what I was saying. Like, don't
yeah,
pigeonhole yourselves into having to play one way, right? And for Solus here, like Amumu has to hit priority target or they cannot play, right? And that's a
yep,
tough place to be because GCC knows that, right? They
yep,
know as long as we don't get caught, Solus can't do anything, right? Like
mm-hmm,
realistically, if we don't step up and overplay our hand, like if this Amumu tries to go forward and can only hit a Nautilus or looking ahead in the draft, Cassante or Dr. Mundo, like what do they do? Which again, um, Solus takes second pick, right? So they have access to last pick. Victor blind
yeah,
here, it's not even blind. Victor into Ziggs is fine, right? Like it's
yeah,
poke lane. You're basically wave clear, wave clear. Um, it's fine for lane. Solus, I feel like they were just okay being fine in lane, right? Again, they're
Yeah.
losing after 15 minutes or after laning phase is over. How do we stack up into the enemy comp? Realistically, what does this Victor do for you, right? Like,
Yep.
yeah, he can lay down some poke and follow up a Mumu with an ulti. Sure, like I get it, but who is the Victor poking? You're poking Casante Mundo. Like
Yeah.
if those are two squishies, awesome, right? Then that's a great pick. But like if we're blind picking Victor, is GCC going to lock Riven top? Like no. Like they lock Casante, which again as a
Yeah.
favorite of T-Die. I realistically, personally, I don't know where the Malphite Neferi is coming from. Like, do you? Like, yeah, we've seen we've
I mean,
seen
it's
we've seen Tycon play Malphite,
yeah.
but like, why would he play Malphite here? Right?
Yeah.
Like, sure,
100%.
you can set up a Ziggs bomb, but like, why play
Is no
Malphite?
follow up. Is no
Play
follow up.
play a frontline damage choker, right? Like,
Yep.
and then the Fury thing is just weird. Like
I don't know. I maybe Tycon plays it or
I don't
something.
know.
Like
Like
that's
it's
the only thing I can
but
think.
but once again, right? Like we're not reading the comp the GCC is showing. Why would they pick Nefuri, right? Like is Nefuri gonna
Yep.
go in 1v5 and have nothing but a Ziggs to follow her up? No. Like
Yep.
this Nefuri pick is useless, Like
Yeah, there's too much to deal with it, even with the Neferi W. Like there's too many options for Neferi to get just completely cooked by.
and
And
she
very little
she
follow
has
up from
nothing
the
to buff her
lanes.
up or
Yeah.
play with her. Like
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
just for GCC. We have Ziggs Caitlyn. We're just gonna build a front line. What do they pick? Casante. What do they pick?
Yep.
Mundo. And then the Shen on R5. I mean, it's whatever landed to Casante. I get the theory. You're going to buff up your Kaisa that has to go in. Will the Shen ult win you the fight? Like,
Yeah.
no. Like, it is so
Yeah.
hard for solos to play. And like my rant from game one, the reason why I ranted so hard is all of these games, it was pretty clear what GCC was trying to do within the first 2 or 3 picks. And they just never respected that, right? Like they
Yep.
never said, "Oh, like this is how they want to play." They just would ban whatever what I feel like is like whatever. I'm sure there's reasoning behind it, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
not totally like, "Hey, they're just locking in random champs. They're playing Ultimate Bravery in finals." Like, yes, I know
Yeah.
they're
No.
not
No.
doing that. But they're not adequately reading what is happening on their screens in the draft and making the appropriate like adjustments, right?
For sure. Yep.
Like if I know that I am B2ing a Mumu Kaisa
Hmm.
into Ziggs, right? GCC goes, okay, we have to have frontline for these champions, and we have to take away follow up engage, right? So
Yep.
they double down, they go Ziggs Caitlyn, and they take away engage, right? So now this
Hmm.
Braum, sure, in lane, whatever. If Nautilus gets
Yep.
bored and goes in, that's a great pick, right? Otherwise, what is it doing, right? Like this would be an awesome spot for Arel or Leona, stuff that's already off the board. Like
Sure.
the Braum kind of just sticks out as like, hey, we're just picking it for lane, and that is what it is, right? And then GCC once again, they have to engage under Ziggs Caitlyn, right? I picked Casante
Yep.
Mundo. How do you do that, right? It's really hard, like.
Yeah.
And then for
Yeah.
Solus, I have to engage under Ziggs Caitlyn. I pick Victor, like, sure,
Yeah.
like I don't like
Yeah.
it's a fine pick in lane, and I'm not trying to flame the pick. I'm just saying if you know you have to go, like I mean, shoot, dude, give me a Zed, all
Yeah.
right? Like give me
Yep.
something. Like
Yeah.
like I'm not a huge Zed fan, but it would make more sense into this comp, right? Like at least you would have
Yeah.
some way to get on Ziggs Caitlyn, right? Like
Yep.
it's just not happening. And that is what is so hard for me is like you've worked when you work so hard to get to the pinnacle, right? You're in finals.
Yeah.
I just think this needs to be better, right?
Yep.
And so credit to GCC, their drafts were better. They were more coherent. They synergized better, and they were excellent answers to everything that Solus showed in draft. And it showed on the Rift, right? Like
Yep.
2 straight games of success, and the success didn't stop in game 3. Now, it did go 37 and
Well,
a half minutes. It's not like SG
mhm.
rolled over.
Yeah,
It's just
no, it was a bit rough
yeah,
early on. Like
Muerte got going.
so I watched this game and I
Yeah.
was going back through the highlights now. Now I will say one thing. Here's a quick stat for you guys. Uh, 15 minutes into the game, 0-0-0 across the board in top lane. Neither top laners have anything. T-Dye is up 1.5k gold in
Yep.
top, and that's a tough spot. That's a tough spot to be in. Which I want to be clear. Like, this isn't a dig at IDK Inc. This is the best top player in the league. There is reason he's playing in plat leagues. There's reason he's trying to push himself so he can play in emerald leagues. And the reason he's not, I think he's gonna be he's gonna almost certainly be volcanic next season. Like, this guy has done very well, and I would say in the past month or so has really leveled up his game even further and really knows how to abuse lane opponents, and I think that was on display here. So that was tough. But I mean,
Through
shout out
both
to
this
SG. Like,
series.
initially they were doing pretty. I mean, Morte was 4-1-0 and doing well. The problem was the gold lead was still with GCC, and they're on a scaling comp. I mean, Mundo's getting time, all going for that. But Morte was getting kills. He's getting some gold in him. And then I think it was just a couple of poor fights. And really, I think the straw that broke the camel's back was, and this is just kind of desperation in like the 2-0 situation, and maybe just not thinking too much. Like, SG basically, they're on Drake. It's sole point for GCC. SG is trying to defend it, and I think they just don't see an angle to pull the trigger to make anything happen. They end up getting poked out by the Ziggs, poked out by I think it was mainly Ziggs and then maybe a little bit of Caitlyn on the back half. But they end up sacking that Drake and just try to push for like a mid. They push for mid 2-2 and try to push for mid inhib. But unfortunately, I don't think there is a world where that is worth it for giving up Cloud Soul, if anything.
Well,
So
and they
I think the game just got out of hand. They had some winning fights early on, then threw a couple bit back to GCC. GCC got some good opportunities to pick up some kills. And then because they couldn't pull away early enough, it was just kind of over from there.
yeah, I mean, and
So
even if they are in a position where they can contest, right? Like,
yeah,
their comp isn't going to take towers particularly fast, right? Like,
yep,
they're not
yeah,
necessarily a great siege comp.
yeah,
And to me, like, draft isn't everything,
hmm,
but a good draft will allow you to do multiple things adequately to well, right? Like,
yep,
by that I mean, like, for example, if you look at GCC side, like, they have all the tools to stop a snap engage from happening and simultaneously poke out
hmm,
the enemy opponent, right?
yep,
But if they weren't, like, so for example, Morte got ahead early, right? And they're not able to
yeah,
maybe fight on a earlier time frame than they thought heading out of draft, like going into the game.
yeah,
They don't have to, right?
nope,
They could just sit there
nope,
and scale and be okay with that, right?
yeah, for
SG
sure,
can't. Like, SG does have scaling with the Victor, but like, you are not going to win this game by scaling, right? For SG,
nope,
for GCCE, while they had really good tools, if they got behind, it's not like they had to keep fighting, right? They could just be like, okay, we'll go down, 3
yep,
Drakes or whatever, and we'll be in a fine spot
hmm,
come that sole point, right? And then not only that, speaking about like T-Dye's prowess in top lane, they can play
yep,
4-1. They have great
yeah,
siege.
for sure,
If T-Dye is putting pressure on sides on this Cassante, now I'm not saying like Cassante is a split push champion. That's not what I'm saying. But if he can put pressure on sides, what's stopping from this Ziggs and this Caitlyn from setting up shop in mid and just chunking towers, right? And making you
yep,
go, okay, pick which one. Like, are you gonna overload mid or you go overload bot? If you overload bot, we're gonna win mid. If you overload mid, we're just gonna back off, right? Like,
yep,
so GCC had multiple things at their disposal to come back into a game, to win a game, to close out a game. SG, it was Jake has to ult, Ziggs Caitlyn, and they have to die. Otherwise, they have no other avenues, right? Like,
yeah,
and that's hard. That's so hard. I mean, that's
hmm,
a hard place to be if you're T1, right? Like, if you
yeah,
can only win one way, that's very tough ask
Yeah,
for anybody.
it's just burden of execution, and the reason that we see success at this at a higher level is because yes, their opponents are good, but they've played hundreds of thousands of games, and they think about all these options. They just have a lot more tools in the toolkit to make stuff work. And then when you're at a level for this league, the barrier to execution really does play a big factor. It's why you see, I mean, SG, perfect example. Why did they win against KUKG? I think obviously they played well, of course, but they were able to play well because their burden of execution for a lot of the comps in which they were winning was quite low. Like their
Yep.
press R comps, and that's not a dig at them of like, oh, you can only play press R comps. Like that's a straightforward comp. It's got a clear game plan. You know what you need to do. Now, of course, you still have to execute, but you don't have to think about a bunch of these things of like, okay, hey, what's the angle where we get a perfect Amumu R, or what are the other, like, what alternatives or kind of nuanced or game state specific angles can we take in order to win these fights? You just go, cool, man. I know what my comp does. Boom, press R. Or if it's side of Belmonts, you just go, all right, cool. We're poking. We give up early stuff. It is what it is, man. We're scaling. We chill out. Then we just go set up shop, poke them out. We win the fights. Like, it's pretty
Hmm.
easy. So I think 100%, like the biggest thing, at least for me, from what I've seen, at levels, I would say all the way below Apex tier, and maybe even at some Apex tier levels, like your M100, M300, or like going up there, like burden of execution is going to play a massive factor in whether you're able to be successful with a composition or not. And I think it showed in multiple of these games with, hey, we have simple or relatively straightforward comps that also are multimodal and can play a couple different ways relatively easily. And that's why I think a big reason why, or a decently sized reason why GCC was able to pick up some wins here.
Hmm. And I kind of want to reiterate. I'm gonna throw it back to us.
Yeah.
So if you're not camera
Yeah.
ready, get ready because it's coming
I'm
back.
good.
But
I'm good. Yeah.
the reason why I emphasize these things, and I think it gets misconstrued as me just like dumping
Yeah.
on or piling on teams that aren't executing or don't see these avenues or not thinking about it. That's not my intention, right? And
Yeah.
it's a fault of mine if it is coming off
Yeah.
like that. But my intention is just to make light of it and say like, hey, these are things we can just avoid, right? Like
Yep.
realistically, in IBSG, the whole goal should be to get better, right? Like now,
Yep.
if you want to like if you want to sit and be the greatest IBSG player ever, then that's your prerogative, right? But for
Go for it,
most
man. Yeah.
people, like the competition, the drive is like, hey, like I don't want to suck for the rest of my life, right? Like I don't want to suck being a League of Legends player, right? So like
Hmm.
my goal, hopefully, what ends up happening is you guys hear what I say, and I try to make it entertaining.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of the show. But like take note of what I'm saying. Like that's not me getting
Hmm.
on a high horse and saying I'm better than you. That's just me saying like, hey, I've watched a shit ton of League of Legends, right? Like I've watched so much League, and I could sit here and tell you, yeah, this
Yeah.
draft's gonna be hard for XYZ reason. Maybe don't do that in the future, right? So like
Yeah.
even for SG, like it sucks that they lose, and it sucks that they lose 3-0, and it's a pretty quick series. You got to finals. Like that's a great place to be, right?
Yeah.
Continue to build upon that. I don't think
Hmm.
they're staying together as 5 players. I know
I
some of
think they
them
have some because if I remember
are
correctly,
saying
I
um
believe Muerte and IDK own the
yeah.
SG org, if I remember. So they're for sure gonna run back a team. And even with them, like I think if I was reading chat correctly, they said that all of the SG teams that they've put together were pretty slapped together. Their first split they went semifinals, their second split they went finals. So
Yeah.
clearly there's some good stuff that they're putting together. Like there's good direction. And I think it's just a matter of, like you said, like the burden of execution, again, that type of stuff means that you spend less time worrying about how do I make this specific team comp work and more time thinking about, hey, how do I build on fundamental skills about League of Legends that are generally applicable across many different compositions,
Hmm.
which a lot of these like more straightforward, low barrier of execution comps are going to enable you to do. So it's going to make you a better player. So the reason why people say like, one tricking a champ in solo queue helps you improve a lot and climb rank because you do get better as a player, partially from champion. You understand how these champions work, but mostly because you don't have to turn your brain on to think about what the hell does my champion do. You just go in and do stuff, and then
Hmm.
you think about the freaking game and play that way. So
And
yeah, there's a lot of benefit to it.
like when I say like so for example, right, IDK got fifth pick into T-Dye, and like I think T-Dye is a great player, right? Like I'm not trying to
Yeah.
take anything away from T-Dye. I feel like if you get fifth pick, if the team is saving you counter pick, we got to do better than going down 1-4-6 and not really being a factor in these team fights, right? Like
Yeah.
either you got to prep a better pick or we got to start developing one, right? Like whether you win or lose, same thing with GCC, right? Like I think GCC thinks I hate them. I don't. I'm just saying, like, hey,
No.
this is how they win. This is the only way that they
Yeah.
win. This is the only way that I've watched them win
Mhm.
games. If you don't want me to
Mhm.
say that, show me a different way, right? Like,
Yeah.
which is, I think, as a player, if you can win in a multitude of ways, that's a great place to be, right? Like, I would much rather have a diverse portfolio in which I can kind of fall back on rather than just saying like, hey, I
Yeah.
have to team fight to win. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing, right? Like, and so whether you're winning or losing, whether you're doing good or bad individually, like I don't really care about the end result. I just care about people improving, right? And
Yeah.
for
I think that's
IBSG, for ECL, for Ember, like
yeah.
the only way you improve is if somebody says, "Hey, like this is not really good," right? Like, and
Yeah.
if you don't know that,
Exactly.
then you'll never know, right?
Yeah.
So don't think I'm just sitting here and saying like, "Oh, like you
Yeah.
guys all suck," and like this, that, or the other. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
trying to do. I'm just saying like, hey, like if we're gonna draft like this, we need to expect that these games are gonna be hard. If we're gonna play like
Yep.
this, we should expect that these games are gonna be hard, and learn from that. But that's my thing for finals. I think we covered every series pretty well, and it only went about
Yeah.
2 hours. Um,
I want to fast
which
forward back 2 hours ago when Rush is like, quick one
I said
hour
hour
in
and a
and out,
half. I
bro.
said hour and a half.
Oh, you don't
So
have okay.
so it's
All
not that
right.
bad. It's
I
not
mean,
that bad.
kind of close, but
Um, last thing
do
we
you want to talk
do.
about All Stars at all, or
So
for the lulls?
yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the teams because I.
Yeah, I'll run you through them. So it's first, as far as I understand, if it's like last split, it's first team versus second team. And so first
Mhm.
team roster is T Dot top, Jake Jungle, Beru, Buckby mid, Wolven 80 carry, and Chubby Chernobyl support. And then the second team is JD, top, Thero jungle, Solo Rusher mid, Mythic Chaos 80 carry, and Crow support. Of note, funny thing, first team, 3 GCC players, second team, 3 KOKG players.
Mhm.
So already some built-in synergy in the team comps, and then we have some fillers in there. But what you thinking, Righteous, in terms of first versus second?
So um, is it best of three or
I
best?
I, I forget how exactly it works. I think last split they did some like weird crap. I think it is technically a best of three, but I think they also did like one game where everyone just like role swapped or something and off rolled and like some weird stuff like that. So let's just look
Mhm.
at it like let's look at it as if it was like a best of three or we're
Okay.
trying to play this out series and like see what's up.
If I'm
Yeah,
looking at it as like
yeah,
this is a best of three,
yeah,
any team that has a top side of T-Dye Jake Buckby is very
yeah.
scary, right? Like I'm just gonna be real.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep.
that's that's like even though they haven't played together, or if they
Yeah.
have, it hasn't been a long time. Like the mid jungle of Jake Buckby, like I feel like that
Yep.
enables Jake to do a lot more than what we saw with Lewis. No fault to Lewis, I just think Buckby's just a better player right now. Um, that's very scary. But on the opposite side, it's not like Thero solo were bad, right? There's a reason they were
No.
second team, and they were
No.
both on the same team. They have built-in
Yeah.
reps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if this was like a true best of three, everybody giving it their all, that is what I gravitate
Yeah.
towards is solo rusher
Mm-hmm.
and Therocles versus Baru and Jake. Um, if you want to call that even, which I
Yeah.
mean like I have no
It's
problems with I
close.
have no problems
It's
with that,
close.
right? Like then you look at the surrounding pieces, right? So you
Yep.
have T-Dye versus JD, you have Wolven versus Mythic, and you have Chubby versus Crow.
Mhm.
Um the reason why I would continue to lean towards Team 1 is
Mhm.
because of the surrounding pieces. T.I. I think was obviously the best top in the league,
Yep.
and the most consistent top. Um, Wolven came on and was on fire. Never really relinquish that. Like he had
Absolutely.
a crazy hot streak through the entirety of the regular season and playoffs, except for the
Yep.
Varus game, which was whatever. And then Chubby's just been around for forever, like
Yeah.
since I've been around, and I've been around for forever. Um, but uh, I'm not saying that the second team players are bad. I just think JD's really raw. I don't
Yeah.
think his pool really matches up well into T die. And then same thing
Yeah.
with Crow. I just think Crow's like a very new, very raw
Yeah.
player.
Though I will say, like you look at a lot of those Atlantis games with Crow and Deadly,
No, they were
like
doing
Deadly
well.
got away with some crazy stuff. I think because of Crow being
Mm-hmm.
able to play, um, to to be able to play to keep him alive. Now, I don't think Mythic as um chaotic or insane as Deadly is in some of those
Mm-hmm.
plays,
For
which
sure.
may be like potentially a downside because I think Crow, like if you have like a Crow Deadly lane, like maybe there's a chance they can really push the limits and then roll over from there and go like get an advantage where you think they wouldn't have. But maybe Mythic and Crow can do the same thing. But I totally see your point. Like
Mm-hmm.
JD, I think can play weak side top and can do that job well. I think Buckby just has a lot of skills in his bag to punish him
T die.
so much that, or sorry, T Die has
Yeah.
so many skills in his bag
Uh-huh.
that he can just punish him super hard, and it's going to be, even with JD being a solid, have the ability to weak side and and play that play style. I think it's gonna be very hard for him to work that out. And again, like Woven and Chubby, very solid. I could see Mythic and Crow doing well. Like I think if you're looking them at their peak performances, I think it's actually a relatively closer matchup, but I think Woven and Chubby are going to be closer to their peaks more often than Mythic and Crow are going to be
Yeah,
closer to
the
their peaks.
consistency.
So,
If I'm playing
yeah.
3 games, I would expect at
Yep.
least 2 of the 3 to go Wolven Chubby's
Yeah.
way. And
Which,
and
I mean, hey, they're the first team All Stars for a reason, man.
yeah, like that's not to say that I don't think the second team can compete.
Oh,
Um
yeah. It's not
especially
a
if
guaranteed 3-0
especially if there's going to
for
be like
sure.
some
Or 2-0.
for fun, like everyone plays out of
Yeah.
position kind of
For
thing.
fun
But
will
like
swap games. Yeah.
in a straight up best of 3, like that's a pretty solid
Yep.
first team there, and deservedly so. Um One thing I want to note though, no offense to JD or Ratsu, but where's Mossman? That guy got hosed.
True.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
So I think from what I heard as far as how the All Stars got calculated is there was particular stats that they felt were relevant to the lanes that were selected as the kind of guiding points of who is going for first, second, third. So
Mm-hmm.
it may just be statistically, but I agree. Like, I think there's certainly some things, and even with the other ratings too. Like, I saw someone say this, I think in ECL chat, of like, man, it really sucks that there's not a fourth team here because I feel like, and they felt like, and I agree with this for a number of roles. There was like a fourth player who was really close in a number of these. Like,
Yeah.
I'll say Jungle, Hamby, easy call out. I think
Mm-hmm.
there. Top lane, I think 100% Mossman should be in there. Um, Mid lane, we're looking at, oh my gosh, Linda
Mm-hmm.
from JRCC was really good. I think for AD carry, you could also look at names like Deadly for AD carry. You could look at names, if you're, I don't know if you played enough games, but you could look at someone like Downfall potentially being in there. Even later on,
Um
like there's maybe an argument for Husky, like Husky and Soft
Husky was
bot lane.
solid. I think
They were performing.
if I had to like put a fourth,
Yeah,
I can't think of the name now, but the guy from PTL,
Barbar
Barbar,
Jonks.
he
Yep,
was solid.
yep.
Um
Yeah,
Ballistic
and
when his PC is working is great.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
So yeah,
Um,
like I mean, there was a ton of standout performances. Like
yeah,
I get why they only do 3 teams,
yeah.
but yeah, I feel like there was a case for a lot of these players for
I
support.
would be
Not to
remiss if
cut
we
you
didn't
out.
mention support too. But like, I say, RK out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Uh, I think Helium as well
Mm-hmm.
in the back half of the split when she joined seemed to do pretty well. So yeah, there's a lot of people I think in this that kind of sucks. I know some people felt bad that there was no like fourth All Star, but and I kind of agree. Like and it depends year to year, right? Like you might have some years where it's like, man, it's like a clear number one, and like we got to put a 2 and 3 in here, I guess, or hey, we have a top two, and like the third is kind of distance. Like there's a lot of focused, talent towards that top
Hmm.
top echelon of the rankings for players. So
For
yeah,
sure.
cool set of talent.
Yeah. And for as much as people think I was hating on
Yeah.
them, the majority of the split, I was actually pretty impressed with the gameplay for IBSG, right? Like
Oh yeah.
that sounds like a backhanded compliment. What I was trying to say is the level of play exceeded what I expect out of IBSG players, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Like
For
that's a
sure.
great place to be. Um, there was definitely points where I'm like, yeah, I'm watching an IBSG game. That's expected.
Hmm.
But and I'm a firm believer of this,
Yeah.
and I've expressed this to you and to a
Yeah.
bunch of other people is like realistically, I don't see why anybody that plays League of Legends can't aim for like Emerald or higher
Yeah.
outside of like commitment or some other reason,
Whatever.
time.
Yeah. Something
Like
else.
like
But
I like when I watch everybody play from
Mhm.
the best team to the worst team in this league, like there are
Yeah.
glimpses of things that they could be great at, and then
Yes.
areas of
Yes.
improvement that would be really easy to hit with some guidance, right?
Yeah.
And so like if you enjoy playing comp, like definitely look into to trying to find some ways to hit that improvement because it definitely I can speak from experience with working some of the players in ECL. You guys can improve pretty rapidly. Like
Oh yeah.
T does
There's
one
a lot of
where
these little. It's a lot of the little things that just like you just don't. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right? Like you just
yeah.
aren't aware of these things, and like I know obviously like you and I have worked together since you've been
Mm-hmm.
coaching my team and stuff, but there's even just a few things that you showed me, and I was just like, holy crap, this is crazy. This
Mm-hmm.
is like it's so simple, but you just don't think about it.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm seeing kind of hindsight 2020. It's simple now, but like before, it's a relatively easy thing to pick up, and even like from a jungle perspective, like obviously I play jungle, so that's the role I really
Mm-hmm.
know far better than any of the other ones. There's things I see from a lot of these junglers, especially the upper echelon of junglers in ECL, where I'm like, these are things that like plot level junglers are thinking about and are
Mm-hmm.
doing. And now there's of course issues the consistency and things like that, but the thought's there, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a big part of it. So, and I'm sure there's plenty of other stuff and other roles that we could point out, but I'm just gonna agree, like again, it applies to everyone, but certainly, I've seen glimpses from players of like, hey, you're clearly thinking about the game, you're looking at some stuff. You get some focused direction from some folks who are coaching, have a bit more experience, stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
you can definitely have opportunity to climb up. So,
Yeah.
I think everyone in ECL should feel pretty motivated, especially going into the next split. I have no idea what we'll see in terms of returning rosters and stuff. I know
I know
like
Buckby's out, right?
GCC's Buckby's out, T Die's out almost certainly. I think it sounded like GCC might be running it back with Tycon Wolven, and I forget if Beta is past Talroma's 3 split rule that he has, and Beta's out. I can't
You can
recall.
only play for
So
GCC for 3 splits or what?
that's his, yeah. As he has a personal rule of like you can only be, and I forget if it's in the org or on a specific. I think it's on a specific team or
Mm.
at a certain level. I don't know, but there is a rule of like you can only play 3 splits at a certain level or with a certain team. I forget specifically. So, but it sounded like there was some plans of run back. At least I think Wolven's gonna be back, is what it seemed like in chat. I know from our side, Forge is planning on running back relatively similar rosters. I think Mjolnir should be the same. Obviously, we got to pick up a new jungle. Whoops. For Atlantis, on that side. Oops. So we gotta grab that, but it should be the same roster. And then I don't know what's gonna happen with the rest of the teams. I think Ember's completely restructuring. I think Ember Flames is gonna be completely different. I think
As they probably should be.
KOKG's. Yeah. I think they kind of had a lot of people that put together. I think which this track route they played, from what it seems
It
like,
was thrown
I
together.
think they certainly tried, but I think it was more of like a group of people who enjoyed playing
Yeah.
together and were kind of running it through. But now I think they have one of their Plat or Emerald players is running as coach of the roster now, and so they're doing a bunch of tryouts and have some players. So I've seen some moves that look pretty cool for them. Don't know what's happening with Feed the Dream. I don't know what's happening with um with PTL. Obviously, All Smite was kind of a mean team thrown together, so we'll see what happens there. I don't know if GCC throws another IBG roster, brings people back. And then I have no idea what's happening to the JR teams. But there's a lot of interesting
there will be
opportunities
plenty of
here.
IBSG teams in ECL.
Yeah, I'm excited. It should
Yeah.
be a cool split next split. There should be some good stuff happening, and a lot of cool storylines that hey, we might be able to follow a little better, which will be fun.
I heard
But there's a lot of cool things that I think people should be hyped about for ECL next split.
they're picking up a new league director is the plan, so no more
Yeah,
meaningless cross-divisional games, maybe, hopefully.
I think they're going back. Yeah,
Yeah,
so we'll see.
I'm a big fan of Tia's that continuously, like players, like continuously to try to improve on their product.
Yeah.
Here's my plea. Speaking of improving the product,
Mm-hmm.
I love the bottom score bug that ECL runs for their broadcasts.
I know where this is going. Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice.
We gotta change the top.
We got it, dude. We got it.
It is the ugliest looking thing I've ever seen.
we gotta change it. That's just the light red and light blue is just doesn't look.
Let's lock in and make it like thematic. Like let's figure out how to make it look like an Ember broadcast.
You guys can do it. I believe in you guys, Ember. You guys can do this
or something.
Amanda, Madge, what do you people's probably watching this?
Yeah, the top scoreboard. It's not it for me, man. But yeah, so definitely to reiterate, definitely look forward to seeing the first team and second team all-star game, as well as on the 17th. Reminder that if you want to participate or have a chance to participate,
probably in ECL, I don't know, you can find me. T-Dye's probably gonna be yapping about it for the next week after All-Stars, so sign up, please. I think it'll be really fun. I think people will have it. We'll make it have a good time. It'll be good. So please sign up, please register. We'd love to see you there.
Yep.
But I think that's it. I think that's the end of Fireside season 1 for ECL.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll say first, and I'll let you fully wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. Despite the differing opinions and the feedback, it's always great to like see people chatting about the episodes and stuff. Of course, if you have any feedback, hit up Righteous, hit up me. Let us know what you'd like to see for next split, because we'll probably be running this back for ECL. May change up some scheduling and how often we do it. Maybe some stuff there. We'll see. We'll have some things that we're working on, but let us know.
Could we do it live? Who knows?
Should we do it live? Should we do it live? Should we get live guests? You can chat. You can like live react to stuff. That'd be fun. But thank you guys again so much for doing this. Thank you for Ember for the support for this. It was awesome that we were able to get this put out there to the masses and promote it. And then, of course, shout out to all the teams for supporting us. And then shout out, of course, to Forge Organization, who came through on all of these videos and supported us as well. Appreciate my team, especially. Big shout out to Atlantis and to Mjolnir on a great season. Got to be my bias org owner. But great job, guys. Very proud of you guys.
I was going to say, you said shout out to Forge. I'm like, just shout out yourself. Hey, shout out to myself for putting this on. I'm just kidding.
No, the community, bro. The community.
Okay. I was like,
dude, I just show up and yap, man. Like, I don't do anything. I just show up, yap.
I mean, that's what I do.
I just make sure, stuff happens here and there. So, anyway, Righteous, I'll let you send us off fully.
No, yeah. It's been a blast. Like, for as much banter that's been back and forth between myself and the community, I've definitely enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Yeah, it's been awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, like Clown said, and then once again, thank you to Ember for putting on a great product and then letting us talk about it. Yeah, let us know things you'd like to see differently. I know for sure the days of 2 and 3 hour podcasts are probably going the wayside in terms of like how I schedule these things. So not that I couldn't talk that long, it's just that people get bored, man. Like,
yeah, it's a lot of stuff, but we'll figure it out. Again, let us know. Maybe y'all like these 2 hours.
Maybe we could do 2 hours, but we gotta have like Subway Surfers in the corner or something to keep people engaged.
Yeah. What's the latest TikTok audio? Throw that thing in the background.
Yeah. Let us know some other content ideas. gonna be real. I will listen to every single idea. I will be honest with you if it's pretty
Hmm.
not feasible, because we are pretty limited in how we approach these kinds of things. But
And hey, if you want to come do content for us, you want to
mhm,
come help us out, pull through, man. We're doing it. We're out here. Come to us with your ideas. Come to us, being like, hey, I can do this. Give me the infrastructure. We'll help set you up. You got a good idea? We'll get you going and make it happen. So
for
yeah,
sure.
come through to Forge. Hit up Righteous for myself. We'll make it happen.
hmm with all that, appreciate you guys for watching, and 2 hours and 15 minutes is good enough for me. So you'll
Take it.
have a great rest of the off season or whatever you guys are doing, whether you're competing in different leagues, taking a break. Hopefully we see you back for ECL. We'll see what kind of content we're doing in the in between.
Figure it out.
So
Yeah.
full disclosure, we're pretty busy with Forge Vanguard. Clown is the captain and
Competition
juggler
time.
of that.
We're in
I
there.
coach that.
Come support us
Um,
in MSL.
maybe
Shout
we'll
out.
stream some games. Maybe you guys can
Yeah.
watch some lottery breakdowns, but we'll figure out some things. I know there's been a push recently to get some in-houses going again. So
Yeah.
regardless, once again, thank you so much. Y'all have a great off season, and we will see when we see you.
See you guys. Have a good one.